Good morning. How are we doing? It's been an honor, to be your host today and to invite you for the third edition already of our regional summit with a simple question: how can companies that are born in Central and Eastern Europe grow internationally? Now at IBAN First, we don't like borders, and we don't like to talk when we have nothing to say. So I'll stop here, but not before I introduce to you a person we call Pat, also better known as Pierre-Antoine Dessoulier, who is the founder and the CEO of IBAN First. So please, Pierre-Antoine, if you could join me.
Thank you, Johan. So I'm very happy to be here today. For me, it's the third time I come to this incredible event that Johan and his team is organizing. And as he said, it's true that as an entrepreneur, actually, I don't like borders. And when I say that, for example, I don't like mental borders. Because, you know, if you have borders in your head, it's difficult to think big and to do big companies. So this is the first thing, and this is the reason why actually I was very happy to see the subject of this year's conference, because as an entrepreneur, I really see myself here, like for me, I mean, thinking about doing a company that could grow only in one country is not possible. You have to think big. This is the reason why also I set up IBAN First a few years ago, is because for me, FX, and IBAN First is doing FX, is the real passport actually to do international business. Is by doing good business around FX transaction that you are able to grow your business internationally. So I'm very attached to this subject. Also, there is something else, and which is important for me, is that we are a Belgian company. So we are in 10 countries now, but Belgium is a small country. And actually, it's a small country like a lot of the Central Eastern Europe countries as well. I mean, if you look at it, Romania, Hungary, or Bulgaria, for example, by themselves, they are small countries. So if you have companies in those countries, you need to grow internationally if you want to do a big company. So in that sense, you are like us in Belgium. We were in a small country. If we wanted to do a big business out of Belgium, we were obliged to go a bit everywhere. And I think here, for companies in Central Eastern Europe, this is the same. So this is the reason why I'm very interested by what we are going to talk about today. And very happy to be with you again. And welcome. And let's see for the rest of the morning.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Pierre-Antoine. So already moving to the first panel, just a little bit about the agenda. So we have great speakers, seriously. We have rock star speakers. We have 3 panels. I'll announce the first panel. Then we have a second panel, which is a little bit a reduced panel, which is actually more a discussion between East and West. And then we have a third panel, and I'll come up with some closing remarks. And then we have lunch. So moving on to the first panel, which is thinking big and going bigger. So if I can welcome the speakers of the first panel, and of course our well-known moderator, Christy, financière. Thank you.
Johan,
there's one thing I forgot. On the table you will see what is called QR codes. If you scan that, you actually can put your question. I will get to know your question, so we can answer that later. Yeah, so that's the logistic part, which I almost forgot. Thank you.
Johan, thank you very much. Thank you for your partnership with Ziarul Financiar to organize the third edition. How can Eastern Europe companies expand internationally? The first panel, the title is Going Big, Strategy for Scaling Up a Business. I would like to invite the speakers, Maria Mezio, Entity Data, Alexander Zahariev, Head of Strategy, Sanotec, Peter Shore, Group CFO, Premier Energy, and Andrei Ursulescu, CEO, Scandia Food. Thank you very much for your presence. Let's applaud him. Good welcome. Please sit down. Okay. If you want to sit down, thank you very much for your presence. What is IBAN First? Because Johan didn't mention. IBAN First is, if you don't know, is an Revolut for the companies. Is the best proposition I can say about IBAN First. And he's a international company with regional presence. So this is the reason that we organize this conference and first this panel. So thank you very much again for your presence here. So strategy for scaling up a business. Maria, if you want to mention about entity data, because nobody is, or a few person is familiar about your company, is the same question to other speakers.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and good morning, everyone. I think I don't have too much time, right? It's a lot to tell about entity data. I'll begin with the fact that entity data belongs to Entity Group. Entity is based in Japan and has a majority shareholder, the Japanese state. Entity Data is the IT company of the group. We run about 50 billion every year and invest about 3.6 in innovation. We have presence in 50 countries, and one of these countries is Romania. Entity Data Romania is on the market since year 2000, so we are almost 25 years old. And even if we are that old, we are a young, talented, and innovative team who has successfully deployed the most modern leadership style for these days, the collaborative one. The interesting fact about one of them, about Entity Data Romania, is that we have presence both on international markets, but nevertheless a very important one on the Romanian local market. We are a software producer. We focus our strategy for the future on asset-based consulting. Nevertheless, in terms of international markets, we are delivery partner together with our sister companies, which are running on the rich markets and aiming to become the most relevant partner for the group on the European market. This is kind of in a
short introduction.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Alexander, Sanotec. Few words about Sanotec.
Good morning, everybody. Sanotec is pleased to be part of that conference. Thank you for inviting us. In a few words, Sanotec is the largest solar park construction company in Europe at the utility scale segment with 12% market share. We operate throughout Europe, mostly focused on Germany, France, UK, Scandinavia, and Northern Europe, but also present in Romania, Bulgaria, and the Baltics, so in Central and Eastern Europe. We are very pleased that our origins come from the Southeast Europe, where the founders were German and Bulgarian, and most of the current owners Bulgarian management group. And these are the driving forces behind the business. We grew significantly over our 12-year history, and becoming a leader in Europe is a marking stone for us. And also, we are the leading force in the UK as well, which is a very tough market, and having ambitions to go in Africa and Middle East. So targeting to become global, as our host here from IBAN First said, think big.
Thank you very much. Peter, Premier Energy.
Yes, Premier Energy. We're one of the fastest growing energy infrastructure companies in Southeastern Europe. We've grown our revenue from about 12 million euros 10 years ago to well over 1 billion last year. Profits as well went from 0 to pretty healthy numbers now. And, we focus on providing energy to local customers here in Romania, in Moldova. We've grown the business to now provide some energy in the neighboring countries to Romania and continue to look for growth.
Okay, thank you very much. Premier Energy, if you don't know, they intend to list it on the Romanian Stock Exchange. If you want to buy a share, you are most welcome.
We're currently in a quiet period, but we did announce an intention to float last week, yes.
Andrei?
So good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me here. I think that I'm the only Romanian company in the panel, so I'm proud to do that. A few words about us. We are a 100-year company coming from Sibiu, still in Romanian ownership by 2 Romanian entrepreneurs. Our new journey started in 2001 when we bought the factory, and in 2011 with the construction of a new plant. And arriving today at operating 7 plants in 2 countries, employing more than 2,000 people, and with good numbers behind, and very actively and energically seeking for solutions to go abroad, to become international rather than becoming local.
Thank you. Andrei, how can you scale up a business? During your mandate and during the period of Scandia, you have a lot of intention to scale up a business.
So we've been trying 2 directions. It's the, let's say, traditional one in which we try to sell our products via the export channel and building partnerships with customers all over Europe, which sometimes can be a burden because it's complicated to understand the market and each market has its own particularities. And the shortcut that I'm more passionate about is doing M&As, which it's a shortcut, but it's much more riskier because you have to be really, really aware of the environment that you go in. I mean, you have the odds to fail very big compared to the exports, being the fact that you go in a new country with new legislation, with new people, with new language, with new culture, with new habits of consumption. Everything is new and you have to learn it really fast and to be really sure that what you are going to do in there is going to bring you the results that you are willing. Despite buying even a company, a good one, you still have the risk of putting it down if you are not very, very well prepared. So, very brief.
As a Romanian company, how hard is to go outside? Because if you compare it to other, Poland, Hungarian companies, even the Bulgarian companies, for Romania and for Romanian entrepreneur companies, it's very hard to go outside. Why?
It is hard, but I wouldn't say that it's impossible. Again, I'm really passionate about the matter. Sometimes it's complicated because you need some money behind and you need to play with it and you need to play with a certain degree of risk. And again, it's a risky business going abroad and you have to be very, very well prepared. I mean, if it would be something that from our experience it's very important, is to prepare for the worst time and time again. Build thousands of scenarios of what you are going to do in the first day, what you are going to do in the first year, in the third year, in the 5th year, and redo it again and again. Because, again, it's new, and there are no other means to get the understanding of the market in real due time to be sure that your risk will be lowered.
Thank you. Maria, you are not in the same position because Entity Data is, Romania belong to the huge group, Japanese group, but how can you scale up in Romanian and from Romanian to outside because Entity Data work for the other market?
Yeah,
it's working.
We have within the company two business units. One dedicated to the international markets, where we are present together with our sister companies, and the other one which is serving the local market. The strategies are totally different.
Totally different, yeah?
Yes. On the international markets, because the objective of our mother company is to serve most of the 100 Fortune clients, and I guess we already have presence in about 75% of them. So there we are targeting large projects, and my objective is to make sure that my teams are involved in the added value roles in the projects that we deliver together with our sister companies. So here is the driver for growth for the international markets, or the growth itself, in absolute numbers at least, will always be much higher than on the local market, which from size perspective is smaller. On the local market, we are front runners in several aspects. I guess we have about 50% for the SAP services market. We have our own products, so we've developed our own ERP, which is huge, which talks a lot about how deep our knowledge is in developing products. We are positioned on the mid-market segment, which is the engine of growth, at least in Romania, but not only. And our strategy is to develop, to grow through asset-based consulting. So we have innovative projects, especially if we are thinking about, for example, the new request from European Union with regards to NIS2, with the zero trust policy. We have developed a special portfolio in terms of cybersecurity, making sure that we are able, for example, to put at the disposal of our clients the full stack. So not only doing managed services through our security operations center, network operations centers, but also to deploy and implement applications that we've made on our own, innovative applications. And nevertheless, the aim is, due to the fact that we are finding ourselves into an integration process within the group, Entity Data and Entity Limited, which is the infrastructure company of the group, have come together. So we'll be soon be able also to go in the direction of data centers, so offering a full stack of, in terms of cybersecurity, for example.
Maria, how hard or easy is to form a Romanian team to work for the external project? So for American market, German market, France market, and so on.
I wouldn't say it's difficult. We are working with but still this is my experience. I'm also with the company since 2000, and we started delivering for the German market since the very beginning. So we first delivered to German market, and only in 2002 we started developing our ERP. So I think it comes somehow natural. I don't find it difficult, and I'm really proud as a Romanian person to say that we have everything that we need, especially in the world that we are living today, to deliver at the highest level. And I'm not talking only about the technical competencies, because we are actually living in a people business in IT. So it's not only about technicals or foreign language, but it's also about a very good attitude that I find that we have. And nevertheless, I think that one of the differentiators, at least in the company that I'm running, is the fact that we know our place. So I think that today it's more important than ever to understand very well the context in which you are living, who are your clients, who is your country, and what kind of service you are delivering, and to understand very good the dynamics. So it's not difficult.
Easy, yeah, it's easy. Okay, thank you. Alexander, you operate in how many? More than 10 markets?
15.
15 markets. How easy is or hard is to operate outside?
Well, depends what's your strategy. A bit of context here. So
So
we are
no, it's
working.
very easy to establish a strategy in a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Say, you know, we go outside. Where? You know, Germany, France, Italy, they have big money.
It's not easy. Every market has its own local specifics. You have local competition, and you have to think on this. You have to do your due diligence, and there are certain risks that you have to comply there. But at the end of the day, if you look big, we have one very clear strategy, and that helped us through that process, getting to all that countries. And it is, we are following our clients. So we've built a reputation where quality, timing of execution, and available capacity was provided to clients in the years gone. And when our clients have grown and have expanded to different markets, we have followed them, and we went with them. We had secured business there, and we have established model to work with that helped us to enter in these markets. So it's a very, very comprehensive strategy to work with one business model across countries.
But it is easy if you follow your clients, or you know, the other part is to go in the other market to find clients. Because at the beginning you mentioned that you follow your clients. So it is easy for you, was easy.
Well, it's not easy to build that reputation. Going to new markets to find new clients, yeah, that's a totally different strategy. It's much more risky. Again, I'm talking in the context of what's the current market in the renewable energy. It's a very fastly growing market, so there is more demand that we can take. And then we have the comfort, which is very rare for most of the companies. We have the comfort to pick the clients or the projects we want. And that helped us getting a bit more easy than any other industry.
You mentioned that UK is a very tough market, okay? And the other market very tough. What will be your advice for the other companies? Where to go and where not to go?
Well, you have to know you have to see the opportunity. You have to know your strengths. And for example, give you the UK market after Brexit. I mean that was an off market. So nobody from Europe could go there and build a solar park, because there were no local regulations how to do it, all the visas and all the stuff, because that's people-intensive business. And then we were the first one that invested on this. We hired consultants. We built a team for the UK. We entered first, and now we are dominant there. I mean, everyone is asking for Sonotech to help building or leading the project, because that is the local competitors can do only small projects. Well, our average project this year is 80 megawatt, which is huge projects, and this is where we are targeting. So big projects and big clients.
Okay, Peter, you operate only in 2 markets, Moldova and Romanian, but for let's say for a Czech owner in the back of the Premier League, how easy or hard is to go outside their national market?
So we do have a Czech entrepreneur as the owner, but the company was very much, all the growth has been done by our local teams in Romania. So a number of Romanian executives or team members have really grown the company. And while our customers today are primarily based in Romania and Moldova, we do sell energy on a wholesale basis throughout the region. So we do have customers in Serbia and Hungary, Bulgaria, and one of the things that was mentioned at the beginning, that business shouldn't have borders. Energy tends to not have borders. From a physical perspective, you get into regulations, and those are very much local and things like that. But we, for example, make sure that, especially in a world where energy sustainability and energy security is very important, we make sure that we're able to source the energy from other markets outside of the one here, and bring it to our customers, who are predominantly households and small businesses here in Romania and in Moldova.
If you compare Romanian market to other market, what is the strength of the Romanian market? And for your opinion, how comes that the Romanian entrepreneur companies don't go outside?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Why don't more Romanian companies go outside? I mean, I think you look at some of the companies, especially in the manufacturing sector, for example, even in the car sector, you are seeing Romanian companies be very successful in other markets. In energy, I think from what we're trying to create as a group, we will are already becoming a sort of leader in the region. I think it's hard for energy companies to compete with some of the Western peers because they tend to be more capitalized. They have a lower cost of capital. There's lower interest rates and those types of things. As I was thinking about why haven't more sort of energy company gone more west, tends to be that the Western companies come into Central and Eastern Europe. But I think a lot of it just has to do size and capital availability. But in terms of Romanians, I mean, you are seeing more and more. And even in our case, we've actually had a number of Romanians that have come back from being in Western Europe. They've come back to Bucharest, and we have a number of them in our team that are now looking to see how we can expand. And we have a person who is in charge of our Serbian business, someone who spent a number of years in Germany, came back, and she's now based in Bucharest, but looking to do business internationally, got the experience being international, and is able to help us grow our business internationally. So you're seeing it.
In your case, with your experience, it is easy to go outside in your near market. I mean, in case of Romania, to go in Bulgaria or Serbia or Ukraine, Hungary, or it is better to go in a West country with more money, more purchasing power, and more, not easy, but good market?
I think in the energy and utility sector, it's a little bit harder because you have established players there that, again, have a lower cost of capital at the end of the day. So it's hard to do that. And we have not looked at anything in Western Europe, but we have expanded a few years ago into the Republic of Moldova, and again, within the last few years, kind of in the Southeastern European region. But I think we haven't really looked at anything in Western Europe, so hard to say. But I think you do have a lot of companies that are, very big multinational companies that are operating on the Western European markets, and they're better capitalized. They have a lower cost of capital, lower interest rates currently. So I think it's hard for us to compete against those companies. But let's see.
But in the case, as Andrei mentioned, merger and acquisition, you buy some operation from CEZ here in Romania, and how easy was to buy it?
So we did recently, we have bought about 25 companies in the last 10 years, about 20 of them in the last 5 years. A lot of them have been in the renewable sector, generation assets or some developments. And then we did recently acquire a company called CEZ Vânzare, which has about 1.4 million customers here in Romania, primarily household and small business customers in the southwestern part of Romania. And even though it's called CEZ Vânzare, we actually acquired it from a Macquarie infrastructure fund. And I think for us it was very strategic because it allowed us to expand our supply business. One of the things that we focus on is being vertically integrated. So we want to make sure we have the production for electricity and that we also have the customers. And for renewables, we also are the largest one in the country that does forecasting and balancing for renewable energy, which is a big topic for renewable energy producers, is how do you balance renewable electricity. But that's a specific thing. In terms of that acquisition, it was negotiating with an investment team that was based out of the UK.
Okay, Andrei, some comments?
Yeah,
You have you have an experience with Scandia in Spain.
Yes. It's a funny story in there. But what I wanted to say, buying a company, it's very easy. The actual thing, it's integrating it. My favorite question is, what are we actually going to do in the morning when we are going to pay the money and the owner is going to give us the keys? Because if we go in there and we just say, hi guys, I'm the new owner, and you don't know what exactly to do, probably you'll have a very poor M&A experience. So this is what happened actually in Spain. I don't know how to translate it in English, but I will say it in Romanian. Ne-am dus câine surd la vânătoare. So bloodhound dog, a deaf bloodhound dog went to hunt, to translate it also in English. So all the errors in the book that could have been possible, we made all of them. And to get more courage, one of our financiers told me, don't worry, Andrei. I promised him that I will never, ever make the same errors and errors. And he said, yeah, you will not make the same errors, but you will make new ones. So this gave me courage to do some other M&As, which apparently for the time being, thank God, are working properly. But again, as a conclusion of the point, I think integration is much more important than the M&A in itself process, than the purchasing of the company. Thank
Alexander?
I agree with Peter. We do acquisitions all the time. Apart from our construction business, where we targeted vertical integration of all kind of services we can add. And we are in the process of final stages of acquiring a company that would help us in the engineering of PV parks and battery storage. We also invest in our own portfolio of solar and battery storage assets, which is per se acquisitions. We grow this through acquisitions or strategic alliances. We currently have more than 2 gigawatts of development pipeline in solar and 3.5 gigawatts of battery storage, and that's acquisition story. It's very important not to stand still. You have to improve your quality, you have to increase your size, and you have to invest in increasing your services portfolio or product portfolio, whatever you do. You don't have to stay still, otherwise the competition would overpass you.
How easy is to find the team outside?
It's not easy. It's not easy. It's one thing to build a team in one company. It's totally different thing to manage a multinational team. You need for multinational team, you need experienced managers. They're much more expensive to hire. But again, you need a very strong management team that leads by example. You need a very proactive approach. I mean, it's a daily battle to control and manage all the processes. It's not an easy process.
In all your market, 15 market, in terms of management, in terms of legislation, regulation, what is the hardest market and the easier market?
Well, all markets are easy and tough, depending where you're looking. We are, again, labor-intensive business, so the most tough thing is how to comply with local labor regulations and, of course, the tax authorities. You always have to manage how much tax you leave in the country you operate long term. It needs a lot of coordinations with all kind of authorities. And of course, you have to comply with the timing your client expects, and also leave the good reputation to the client and to the local community, because you're an ambassador to your client. So it's a lot of management skills and communication you need within the team, not only the technical expertise.
Maria?
In my experience, actually, entity.
You know, entity prefer to have a Romanian CEO.
Yes.
How comes? It is easier to understand the market, to manage the people, Romanian people.
For sure, being from here, raised up here, being a Romanian person, it's easier to understand the people and to manage them, but it's not necessarily a must. What I wanted to say from my experience with the integration, because actually since we were acquired by Entity Data in 2013, we've gone through a continuous integration process, first in a cluster, then in a region, then in a larger region, then
Never end.
in a group. Yes, and now I guess we are facing the last step, becoming one entity, data, together with our entity limited colleagues. And one of the most problematic things is the fact that I've identified was the fact that we very often talk about the same things using different words, or we use the same words and refer to different things. So if I would need to integrate again a company, I would make sure as a first step that we speak the same language. So taxonomy and glossary are really, really relevant. And my experience also tells me that even if we are very aware of, and we are talking with all the words about cultural differences, actually in the real life we do not quite take care of them or consider them. And this is also an aspect that can make or break an integration.
Andrei, it's as a Romanian entrepreneur company, as an entrepreneur company, it's easier to go outside organically or to acquire something?
Both are complicated. Organically to go, it's complicated because it takes a lot of time. You have to be very, very patient. So we will not see results in the exports or accessing new markets on the very short term, but it's a very long-term investment. I mean, consider that in 2008 we were selling less than 1% of our volumes in export, and now we are at almost 20 to 30%, depending by the year and by the geopolitical context. So it's a matter of time. M&As are much faster, but as you mentioned, Spain was a complete fiasco, so you have to be really, really well prepared to go abroad via M&As and to be, again, to have the mindset that you might lose that money very, very fast. So it's a matter of how everyone digests the risk that it exposes itself to.
How you see the economic development right now? Andrei, you know, let's say Romania, but in the region and with in whole Europe and in the world in this context, it's a difficult time for the future.
Disregarding the year that we are in and the fact that it's a political year, I would say that I'm quite stable in terms of the expectations. I'm not pessimistic, I'm not over-optimistic. I'm happy to see that the inflation and the National Bank are doing a good job in somehow diminishing the effects of the inflation, which has to be somehow kept on a leash, because otherwise prices will continuously grow and will have, at least for our business, a problem in terms of consumption, because the shelf price will continuously grow and grow and grow, and at the end of the day we'll have a decrease in the volumes. But I would say that I'm not pessimistic. Yeah, so I'm reserved but not pessimistic.
Maria, for the IT market, it's very tough market right now. It started in United States in 2021 at the end, and the market is day by day very, very tough.
Yes, but the good part is that the US market has begun to grow again, so it's just a matter of time until it reaches the old continent also. and the number of the period in which the effect is felt in Europe also, it's not so long anymore. So we would say if the trend will be respected, that in about 6 months we should feel it here also. I guess the IT market, it's rebalancing.
Rebalancing.
Yes, and I'm also not over-optimistic, but for sure not pessimistic. And you know, the IT market, it's not a silo. We are get influences for all the industries that we are working with. And for example, if I refer to Romanian market, and if I take a good look at the banking or manufacturing markets, in terms of CAGR, the percentage of growth is higher than overall in IT industry, so this is a good sign. Nevertheless, the prognosis from the European Union for Central and Eastern Europe for the next 10 to 5 years are of intense growth. This also has, of course, explanation, and it was triggered also by the geopolitical situation. So at least for the mid and long term, I don't see reasons for which we should worry. What we should focus on maybe would be, and it is to upskill our professionals so that they remain competitive with regards to the new technologies that are knocking at our door, and to find more interesting or strategic approaches for the future, like the one that we have done with regards to BMW. Nevertheless, the German market, even if it's, which is an important market for Romania, or at least for the German-speaking community, in the mid-market in Germany, it's growing. And mid-market in Germany is totally different in terms of size, like in Romania. Nevertheless, in terms of people, demographically, they are not in very good situation, because there are every year more and more people that retire. So only if we put these things together and consider the fact that it's just one of the countries who imports a lot of technology, I think that we just need to do our homeworks and maybe be more strategically focused with regards to the development strategy for our future.
What will be and what is the impact of artificial intelligence will be on the economy? All the people talk about artificial intelligence that will affect the big, medium, and small company.
I would say, so I think it's difficult to make very precise affirmation. I think the impact will be relevant, and it will be also relevant when we think about activities that will compensate the lack of specialists that we are facing in this industry since forever. In 2006, I went to Sibiu to open a subsidiary because there were no more developers on the market in Cluj. So we are in the same situation today. I guess there will be a continuous development in this sector, and it's strongly related to all the industries. So I guess it will have an impact. I cannot tell you today the size of it, but what I've decided to do is to focus on what we as company can do. And in this regard, I have started a study. I will be glad to share the information with you as soon as it will be finished, to understand, for example, when I'm thinking about my people, my colleagues, which are the skills that maybe are will be the last to be replaced by AI, and focus on them, because what I know for sure is that it becomes more and more relevant to have more than technical skill. It becomes more and more relevant to develop your soft skills in terms of communication. And nevertheless, when I think at IT industries, to start getting expertise in business processes and deep knowledge of the industries that you are I don't know, delivering in. So
we'll see in the future how will be the impact of artificial intelligence.
yes, we will see in the future. Depending on what you read and where you read, you can get very pessimistic or scared, or you can become optimistic and happy that maybe you get a boost in terms of bringing more efficiency in your daily business.
Alexandra, how is the context right now?
Well, artificial intelligence is a very good question, because in our sector, and I'm sure that Peter can add something on this after me, currently Europe is using only 20% of the energy used through electricity. Most of our energy needs comes from petrol, gas, coal and other sources. And one of the major trends in the energy sector is electrification of the industry, going from 21% to something in the above 50, definitely, maybe up to 65, 70%. So that's a trend. One of the major drivers over the next decade that is forecasted to contribute to that trend is AI. Because AI is the key to automating processes, and that will be applied throughout the industry with multiple applications that are still to be seen in their full. But AI is one of the biggest consumers of energy, because it works with lots of data, with data centers, which consume a lot of energy. So that's one of the drivers of the electricity market that we operate in.
Okay, Peter, what is for Europe in the context?
Well, I think as Alexander mentioned, there is going to be electrification that is happening as we speak. And, it's having smart sort of technologies that allow the processing of electricity from the generation to the end customers, making sure that it's in a world where it's, not always sunny, not always windy. What do you do on the renewable side? I mean, it's a huge ecosystem that is being developed to make sure that the electricity is available to the customers when they need it. And, AI is playing a role in that. It maybe not necessarily technically AI, but it's smart technologies that are becoming more and more important. And it touches upon the fact that I mentioned before, which is balancing, making sure you meet the production with the demand, which is not always possible. And some of the renewable sources have their limitations, and they need to be there needs to be ways to improve the balancing of it, which batteries may do, and maybe some other applications.
If you look at the future, people said that the growth will come from this part of Europe, I mean Central and Eastern Europe. What is your opinion? Can we manage this optimism?
When you say growth, you mean in terms of energy and in terms of renewables, or
renewable to attract foreign investment?
Sure. I think in terms of renewables, especially Romania, was blessed with a lot of natural resources in terms of very favorable sun and wind dynamics, and you are seeing an increased, at least people talking, and you are seeing an increased development on the renewable side here in Romania, as well as some of the neighboring countries. And from a weather perspective, it has been blessed with some very favorable weather patterns that you don't see in other parts of Europe. So I think in that case, we will see growth here, and you are going to see quite a bit of capital investments into renewables, which then feeds the electrification that has been discussed.
Alexander, the new market for you?
Well, there are new markets in terms of technologies. The booming market over the next 10 years would be the installation of battery storage. So that's the short solve of the balancing problem that currently most of the markets and grids have in Europe, and not only. So that's one of the major investments that will be done over the next 10 years to support the energy transition. In terms of geography, we are investing a lot to expand in Africa. The average electricity consumption in Africa is roughly 100 kilowatt peaks per annum per capita, which is 1,000 times less than Europe. And we see a continent with 1.4 billion people population that would drive more than 85% of the demographic growth over the next 100 years. So that's a place to invest a lot. And Europe is
In
a close
Africa.
neighbor. Africa, yeah.
So the advice for the, let's say, for the Romanian company is to go to Africa.
Well, that's an opportunity. Maybe not for everyone, but that's an opportunity.
So, Andrei, for you, not Spain, but Africa.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Why?
We've been also in there some while ago in 2015, and it was a very complicated place to be.
Okay, Alexandra, but Africa have enough money to pay for your services?
No, and that's another opportunity. Europe has the funds, Europe has the infrastructure, Europe has the energy companies, Europe has all the experience and knowledge to be the big party in that process, to facilitate all that funding, because you need international lenders to support, like financial sponsors, to support that capital investment in a very underdeveloped market with the high risks. That means also EBRD and IFC, World Bank, supporting that and mitigating the political risk, which is a major factor getting there. And then you need all these companies pooling together and investing in the African market. Look, Europe is not in a great situation now. It's not competitive wise. It's not peer to US and China, which is the two big powerhouses in the global scene. So we need to find a business case. We need to find a role where we can grow, because Europe is struggling to grow now. We need to find space where to do it.
Yeah, but Europe can compete with the United States and Chinese from your point of view, because you operate in the Europe.
I'm saying Europe is competing less and less with the US and China for a multiple of reasons. And I believe that we need a revamp of that strategy and try to find a way, a business case, as I said, where we can become again more competitive and export what we have. We have a lot of experience, we have a lot of history, we have a lot of good product, but again, we are losing that competitive edge through R&D, through investments, compared to US and China, and that's a major concern long term.
Maria, Romanian can compete with, let's say, with American and Chinese? You know, you manage people, you manage the head of the people. And in this case, it's about the salary.
I guess...
If you want to speak louder?
If?
To speak louder. You.
Ah, me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I don't think that Romania is quite in that position today. I still think that Romania, even regarding the Europe, even if the salaries have grown significantly during the last period of time, we are still in a better position than the West European countries, and I guess that they are more appropriate to be compared to the United States and the other ones.
Okay. If you look at entity data, do you think from here, from Romanian, you have a business proposition to go outside, to go, let's say, in the other market, maybe Ukraine, maybe Moldova, or other market?
Last year I was prepared. So, no, 3 years ago, my midterm plan also had an important part of the strategy to develop in Eastern Europe and Western Balkans. For now, this is a little bit frozen because we are in the process of integration with Entity Limited. And Entity Limited already has presence in the most relevant countries across Eastern Europe. So it's a matter of time. Maybe by the end of this calendar year, we'll have more clarity about our position in Eastern Europe, but it's like an integrated one, so it does not necessarily belong anymore to the strategy of Data Romania, but it will be the strategy of development of Entity Data Incorporated. This is the name of the new company in Eastern Europe. So the question is kind of yain.
Okay, Andrei, for you, Africa is not a business proposition, but what will be your other market?
Well, we are looking at Europe, at Central Eastern European countries. We are looking at Germany. We are looking again at Spain, but let's say the strategy is slightly different in terms we are looking for super premium quality assets. We are not going for anything that doesn't have solid and stable cash flows. And we are looking a lot in terms of know-how that can be somehow shared within the group. So we are looking for companies that are well developed with interesting products, with innovative kind of processes or even products that we can on which we can somehow build synergies across the group. So yeah, we are looking mainly in Europe rather than going in exotic parts of the world.
How easy is to, let's say, to sell Romanian products outside? You know, in Romanian, we welcome foreign products. In FMCG, in other sector, we are most welcome. But if you go to the Poland are more nationalistic. And they don't buy other products.
We get to see this all over Europe. It's a somehow protectionist kind of approach of each economy in itself. So everybody is more loyal to the brands that they know and that they have been consuming for a long period. And for our sector, entering the market, it's quite difficult. Why? Because if we look coming from Germany, coming to Romania, so most of the equipments are from Germany. We all use basically the same technology. We all use basically the same raw material because there are big suppliers across Europe. The difference is only made by the local taste of each country and each consumption pool in itself. So differentiating yourself tends to be really, really difficult in our industry. So you have to be really innovative in terms of the product, in terms of the way you promote it, and last but not least, the experience and the quality of the services that you are providing both to consumers and clients.
In your case, in FMCG, it is better to go outside with your products, but other name, or to try to put in the shelves your products?
We generally try to make something fitted to that market. Because if we go with our number one brand in here, which is Pate Bucegi, probably doesn't mean anything in Germany or in Spain. So it's, who knows, Pate Bucegi in there, we'll try to make something much more appealing for the consumers in that market.
Okay, how other markets see, let's say, the former communist market? If you go as a Romanian, Bulgarian, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Poland, in German to buy a German company, Austrian company, the people said, what? To be bought by a Romanian company? How comes?
Well, there is still a lot of mistrust. Risk profiles are different. I've been 20 years in M&A, so quite qualified to answer that question. Bulgaria, for example, is still not in the OECD. Lots of investment funds cannot invest there because of this. There are big investment funds and other investors that do only Western Europe but not Eastern Europe, so that's still a borderline geography for them. The risk profile and funding that transactions, it's much more difficult with structured finance in London or in Germany to structure a deal in Bulgaria and Romania than in Western Europe. And then if you want to exit your franchise or your company, then the exit multiples for a German company or for a French company are usually higher than exit multiples for Bulgarian or Romanian company, which again gives a downside for that region. I believe that is something that is changing now. Most of the GDP growth of the EU zone, European Union, is coming from Eastern Europe rather than Western Europe. We see that Germany is providing the lowest growth in the zone, which is a worry. But again, I believe that's something that is changing now. We see Bulgaria and Romania now in Schengen. Soon, Bulgaria would be in the Eurozone. So all these things are changing slowly, and I believe that in 10 years that Romania and Bulgaria would be very, very well fit in the European Union in every sense.
Peter.
Yeah, I think I have a similar view to Alexander. These are still developing countries. You look at energy, for example. The average Romanian or the average Bulgarian still consumes a lot less energy than the average Western European, whether you want to take an average German or, with IBAN being based out of Belgium, the average Belgian person. So I think there's still a lot of growth in that. But overall, this region, we believe, and still has a lot of growth, and not just in energy, but in other ways. And you can look at the convergence of GDP per capita and those types of things. So, still a lot of growth here.
Maria. The perception.
Yeah, I was thinking that actually so I've never done M&As in Western Europe, but if I look at the situation in Germany today, or I look at my sister company or other companies in Germany, which do not grow with the pace they used to grow, and the specialists say that it's been the fourth year of stagnation. I would say that there is still, also due to this situation today, it leads to more reluctancy. So, but in our case, maybe it's in terms of delivering projects with the people from Germany, or delivering projects with the colleagues from Romania. In terms of trust, I think we have gained a lot during the last years, all the years since 2000 until now. But yes, there is still some time place for improvement.
The perception. Okay, Andrei?
Well, in our case, it's usually who are these people and where do they have the money from. We saw it in Spain when it would have been better for the bank to block the transactions of the Spanish bank in the day of the signing, of the closing actually. When we managed to transfer the money from the Romanian account to the Spanish account, one of the financiers in there decided to block the funds because they didn't understand where those money came from, despite showing them the numbers and the balance sheets and who the group is and so on. For some period they said, okay, let's stop that transaction until we are sure that these people are really serious and they do not crazy stuff. They do not do crazy stuff around here. So yeah, it's a certain type of reluctancy. It's a certain type of resistance, and we have even seen it. Maybe they do not actually want you to be in there, yeah. So they somehow they invent different things to make your life more complicated. We still have this Eastern kind of image coming with big money done in complicated ways that are not necessarily the most transparent and the most clear as they would expect to be. But in reality, it's the complete opposite, and my personal opinion is that Romania, it's more orthodox than the Pope, to say so, in many aspects of legal matters and financing issues.
Thank you. What will be your question for the future? Peter, Alexander, Maria, Andrei? Andrei, let's start you.
I wouldn't say that is necessarily a question. I would say that it's rather a necessity of having a stable environment and having a stable economy so that we can predict better our businesses. Again, referring to our business, for us, any type of fiscal measure that is taken will be immediately seen in the price shelf of our products, which makes the life complicated. One other aspect is that we really need to have a stable economic environment to be sure that we are still going to be competitive across Europe, because with salaries continuously growing, and if we don't have the necessary knowledge and education of the future workforce, we will not be able to sell any kind of competitive advantage from here. If we have the same salary rates and the same technology as in West, what we are actually doing different or better than those people in there are doing. So stability and a lot of, let's say, cautiousness and predictability of what the economic involvement will be.
And this is the question for the national market. But if you go outside, what will be question for the geopolitical events, the future of the Europe, the future of in all contexts, as Alexander mentioned, American and Chinese, they are more competitive than the European.
I wouldn't go in a mentality in which I would be over pessimistic, because I wouldn't go out of the house in this way. So we need to find the proper balance between the geopolitical risks and the day-to-day business, because we have to earn somehow money. So again, looking at stable economies across Europe, it's one thing that we are considering, and let's see, step by step. I wouldn't go in very difficult scenarios to say world war or stuff like that.
So you don't have a PowerPoint for 5 years?
I have a PowerPoint for 5 years, but I cannot say it publicly because I want to show it when it's ready.
Yeah. Okay, Maria, your question for the future.
I guess it's the same one. It belongs to the past, is true today, and it will be true in the future. How can I make sure that I take a faster and better decision than my competition? This is one, and more like a curiosity. I'm looking forward to understand how this AI area will be regulated in terms of ethics and legislation and so on. I think here will be a lot of novelty, and will also have an impact on this disruptiveness that you were asking me about earlier. But the most important one for the day-to-day operations for today and the future is how I make sure that I take faster and better decisions than my competition.
Thank you. Alexander.
My question for the future is, because I'm working in the energy sector, is how the energy transaction would actually happen. Because we all, most of us know that within probably by 2050, Europe, and not only Europe, would have the cleanest energy in the history to date, and then probably the cheapest electricity provided to date. But the question mark is how that would happen, because currently the market is so dynamic. I mean, not every year, every quarter, it changes significantly, meaning that energy transition could be quite turbulent. And my question is how that would happen.
Thank you. Peter.
Yeah, it's actually very similar. I mean, if you look at the energy markets over the last 5 years, so we went through a period in 2020 where we had the lowest prices of energy in our lifetime, right, with the onset of COVID. Fast forward to 2 years, and with the conflict in Ukraine, we had the highest energy prices that we've ever seen in our lifetime. If you recall, 2 years ago, there's talks about Europe not having enough gas to heat people's homes in most countries. And now we're in a period where there's at least been a few months of stability. On the other hand, there's all kinds of geopolitical risks. So how does Europe cope with that increased sort of level of volatility? Certainly a question for us as managers in the industry. And the other thing I would say is, we, as Europe, we do need to find ways to have more energy security. We don't have a whole lot of fossil fuels that are produced in Europe on the whole. We have to import a lot of it, and although Romania was actually blessed with some of it, but as a continent, we do need to look at how do we generate our own energy in the future, and one that is hopefully very sustainable, clean, and also very efficient in terms of cost.
Peter, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your comment. And Johan, what will be your question for the panelists?
Yes, I have some questions, so thank you for that. Use your QR code. You can then ask questions, and I'm seeing it. I got 5 questions, so maybe we keep it short. What percentage of your turnover do you estimate will be required to invest in order to expand into another country? So what would be a kind of a minimum percentage you envisage to be kind of profitable before deciding to go into a next country?
I would answer a bit differently. In order to grow, in order to go to the markets, one of the first rules is that you reinvest everything you do. I mean, that's crucial. A growth
no dividend for the owner? No?
Yeah, it's always difficult.
No cars, no vacancy,
no? No, that should come later. Otherwise you compromise your growth.
But later we'll be old.
That's how it works. It's the other is fancy stories in the social media, but that's very rare. You need to reinvest because banks would not give you the funds to the benefit of your growth immediately. So they come after you grow, and then you have to co-invest with lenders in order to spur your growth. So it's what is most important. Profitability also comes later. So first is growth, then when you become a bit more mature business, then you become a bit more profitable. Also scaling the business helps profitability as well.
Okay, thank you. Maybe I'll go to the second question from Charles. How easy is it for Romanian companies to obtain funding for expansion? Are you considering private debt or other sort of funding to help you in your expansion?
Andrei.
Well, I think as long as you have good numbers, your balance sheet it's quite healthy. It's not very complicated. What is complicated is to access funding from abroad. I mean, local banks, if you explain the project properly and it shows the degree of warranties that are required and the cash flow able to sustain the repayment of the debt plus the equity that we are putting in, I don't think it's a very complicated issue. The complicated issue comes when you go abroad. So that's the main thing.
Okay, thank you. I have a third question. What are the expansion plans in medium-term vision considering the war situation and economic stability? what is the recommendation for going international, given the geopolitical landscape?
Peter.
Well, we're expanding in the region here, and we do have a business in the Republic of Moldova, which does make the headlines.
No, Moldova, it's near Ukraine and near the war.
Yeah, but it's business as usual there. It's still a country that's very much leaning towards Europe, but we're still expanding, and it's one of those things that you hope the conflict ends pretty soon.
Okay. What do you believe is more important when going abroad, money or partnership?
Well, both, but first comes partnership.
Yeah.
So you need to have the opportunity, you need to have the business case going there. If you have it, you will find money. So it's first is partnership.
Okay. I still have 2 to go. Can expansion be achieved by investing more and developing the local market? Can Romania become a European hub for certain industries?
I guess it has already for IT.
For IT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
IT.
Okay. And other answer, Andrei? Hub?
Definitely, yes. I think Romania has a lot of potential. There are still many areas of the industry and of economy which can be developed or even significantly improved. So yeah, I think we have the proper thing to do it. I don't have any doubt.
Peter?
Yeah, and I would say in our case, we do believe that Romania will become an energy hub, at least for the region here in southeastern Europe.
Why? Because we'll have energy, surplus of energy. Why do you think we'll become a hub?
I think there's a lot of experience here. First of all, you have a lot of energy companies that are very good, very efficient, that are Romanian-based and looking to expand, such as Premier Energy. It's also a sizable market for southeastern Europe, and I think that there's a lot of know-how here that can be relatively easily exported to the neighboring countries. So it's a combination of those things.
And also Romania is the biggest market in Southeast Europe, so that's also important.
Yeah, and together with Poland and Ukraine, I guess there are about 150 million people, so it's quite huge. And if I remember well a discussion, there were some professors for some university from US in visit in Cluj at Babeș University, and if I remember well, there are some initiatives for Romania to become the hub, especially in terms of energy, where you can collect good practices, politics, and so on, in order to be exported from here and not from somewhere else far away towards the countries around us. And may I say something to a question that you asked before, because es liegt an meinem Herzen, it's on my heart. You asked about the mistrust, and I was just thinking that actually it's, in my case, it's not mistrust, that it's maybe sometimes annoying, because we have quite a lot of it, but it's the thing that the colleagues or the Western European countries, they still think somehow, and they are sure they are better.
They are sure they are better.
And this, I don't think this is accurate anymore. And maybe this is what we feel sometimes in the attitude. Not that we are mistrusted, at least in my industry, in my case, but there is still this feeling of, okay, we are from West, we know better. And I think this is something that...
A side way, I do agree, but that's not the question. But I have a specific question for you, Maria.
Oh.
Supposing you are a Romanian software company aiming to expand international in the CE, where would you start and how?
Good question. I guess I would look at the industry's trends in the most relevant countries where we do not have presence in CEE. And depending on them, and if there is also focus from our side, because you need to actually to export know-how. You need to, when you expand in some country, you need to make sure you know the local market, or at least the industries that are running increasing in the local markets, and you go for them. It's difficult for me to tell you today which country I would choose first, but this is how I would do my due diligence.
Okay, thank you. Maybe a last one for the panel. Last one came in. Where would you position the digital transformation strategy within your company in the top 5 strategy measures to be taken for the next years? So I think what are the top 5 strategic measures to be taken, and where do you currently stand on your digital transformation? I don't have an answer.
One of ours,
Okay.
in order to help the sister or the other industries, it's has a lot to do with the cyber security. I guess this is an area where every one of us will need to have a focus on, and we have prepared a portfolio of cybersecurity services and products that will help us get through these difficult times that will come.
It's a priority for Sonotech. Over the last 12 months, we've invested, we've integrated ERP software, project management software. We've migrated our infrastructure to cloud. So we are investing in digital a lot. Maybe not top 2 places, but somewhere third or fourth in the top 5.
Okay.
Ok, thank you very much for your presence. Haideți să aplaudăm, let's applaud them, Maria, Alexander, Peter, Andrei. Johan, let's move on with the other panel.
So, thank you again, panel. I think let's go for a battle. The battle between East and West. It's going to be a short panel. If I can invite Veronica. Veronica from Bloomberg TV, Bulgaria. Please. And then we have 2 business ambassadors, Radu and our PAD, Pat. Hello. Veronica, they're all yours. Should we put the chairs a little bit, make it a little bit cozy, guys? Veronica, you can put yourself in the middle and go, shoot. Michael? Artificial intelligence is on the way. By the way, I think mine is still on.
Okay, now we are all set. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me.
Nice to be here.
And for providing this opportunity to be here on this stage. It's a big honor for me. Thank you for inviting me. Just short introductions for you both. Here on the stage with me are Pierre-Antoine Dussoulier, born French, entrepreneur and fintech investor, founded and coordinated businesses in Western Europe, recently entered the Eastern European markets, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, and Radu Georgescu, born Romanian, serial entrepreneur and venture capitalist, founded over 40 companies and failed in more than half. Sold a couple of them to big Western American companies, recently in an expansion process in Western Europe. Each of the speakers will give an insight from the perspective of his own region. Do we have to say something more in these introductions we made? Maybe to add something?
No, let's have fun.
Okay, so we will really speak from the position of your own business, own region, looking ahead to the other region for this expansion. And the first question is, why do Belgian and French-born companies position themselves as such, but then Bulgarian and Romanian position as pan-European? What is the difference?
So I said it in the introduction, so I'm an entrepreneur and I've always been involved in foreign exchange. So I'm an entrepreneur, but my first company was actually a retail forex broker that I sold to Saxo Bank back in 2008. What I like with Saxo Bank, it was the same than IBAN First and also the same than a lot of companies here, is that Saxo Bank was coming from Denmark, which is also a small country. And if you wanted to be successful on doing a big company outside of Denmark, you had to go everywhere and to expand internationally. So, and it's what I like to do actually. So when I sold my company to Saxo Bank, then I stayed a little bit in Saxo Bank. You know, I had what we call the earn-out, where you have to stay in the company to develop the company you sold. And actually, I really like doing that. So I stayed from 2008 to 2016 into Saxo Bank because I was able to open a lot of offices for the bank. So I opened offices in Belgium. So I was in France, based in France at the beginning, but I opened in Belgium, in the Netherlands, in Italy, in Spain. And it was very interesting for me to do that. So it's what I like. And then when we start IBAN First out of Belgium, for me it was very logical to grow this company everywhere we could. And I think it can be an advantage actually starting from a small country because you are obliged to do that. And if I give you another example, is for example I've got many friends, entrepreneurs that are starting company out of France. And then it's very difficult for them to do a big global company because France, you know, it's 70 million people, 70 million of people, and then it's already like a big country in terms of clients you can get out of France. So very often, French entrepreneurs, they just build good French companies, but they are struggling to have a vision to develop internationally because they can do like the first 5, 6, 7 years of their company just growing the company in France. And then once your company is 7 years old, it's more difficult to make it a real international company. So I think it's the reason why we had this idea from beginning to be an international company. And then this is going outside of Europe, but also I've been always very interested by Eastern Europe, Central Eastern Europe, South Europe. I think it's where you have young people, you have like a lot of growth, a lot of potential. At the beginnings, someone said IBAN First is like Revolut for corporates. I don't like to compare ourselves every day with Revolut, but the thing is, we know that in Romania, Revolut is very, very strong. This is a second country for them. And we know that, for example, IBAN First could have actually, we are doing very well in Romania, thanks to our team, but also in Bulgaria or Hungary, compared to the size of the country. For example, we are very strong compared, for example, to countries where we are like Italy or Spain, where we could have imagined that the presence of IBAN First could be bigger in those countries instead of the presence of IBAN First in Romania or Bulgaria.
Why is that so?
Because, again, I think it's demographic dynamism. It's more logical for people here to say, okay, I can use an alternative to a bank to do cross-border payment. Probably in Western Europe, banks are established for a longer time period, and and it's more difficult for some people to change their mind and to say, okay, I'm going to switch off, I'm going to stop using ING, Société Générale, BNP, and to move to an alternative. I mean, we have some success over there, but it's probably more difficult to convince people than here, where actually people say, okay, I believe in the future, I believe in innovation, I believe in new technology, I want to be part of it, so I want to be directly using technologies such as IBAN First. Yeah.
Radu, why do Bulgarian and Romanian companies position as pan-European instead of Bulgarian and Romanian?
Yeah, no, I think that I'll step back a little bit and say that American companies have a huge market, and therefore European companies go to the US for the money, for the market, for the investors and so on. But then you compare US with Bulgaria or Romania or France or Germany, even whatever, one of the countries, it's true, so America is amazing. But then EU, Europe, it's a big thing. And therefore, if I'm a business person and try to put together a business plan and everything, I want a big market. A big market, my normal big market is Europe. It's not America. I mean, Americans don't create companies for California. They don't create companies for New York, right, state. They create companies for the US. And therefore, I believe that in order to grow our home market, the way we perceive it and we plan it and we budget it and so on, and we market it, is Europe. And that's the only way we can actually become significant in a US, Europe, China type of environment.
But let's talk a little bit about the challenges. Pierre, you mentioned some of the plus side factors like dynamism, demographics, young people, knowledge. But what are the challenges for a Western company that would like to expand to Eastern Europe and for an Eastern European company that would like to expand to the West?
I'm going to answer to your question, but just to come back to what you said, Radu, it's very interesting because in our business, so we do cross-border payment, and so we need a license to do that. On this license, we got it out of Belgium, and then Europe is nice for that because you can passport the license everywhere. So which is really good, and actually which is really good compared to the US, specifically for our kind of business like us, because in the US you need a license in every state you want to do business. So it's interesting because in the cross-border, B2B cross-border payment industry, we don't have the big competitors out of US. And this is great. And also, this is great because actually, a lot of innovation in the US are coming from Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is 9-hour time difference from here, and actually even 10-hour. And it's 10-hour difference, and plus, it's not on the right time zone if you want to do business in the same time in Asia and on Europe. So, for example, when you are based in Europe, in the morning you can do business with Asia, on the afternoon you can do business with US. Reason why all the cross-border payment innovation came out of London and Europe historically, and not from the Silicon Valley. So we have a big advantage actually ourselves in Europe for this industry compared to the US, which is nice because it's not always the case in a lot of industry of having this kind of advantage. So we have this advantage. So we are happy to be in Europe in this big market compared to the US. So yeah. Also, your question was, what is the advantage of?
What are the challenges in entering Eastern European markets?
I mean,
but let me reverse the question. Why do you perceive? And we're in the business environment, right? We are not social, historical, whatever. So in this business environment, why would you ask difference between Western and Eastern Europe? Why are these two entities? Yeah. And that's a question actually for you, right? Why do you perceive this as two entities? Because I perceive as one, big, happy, whatever, happier or not, but big Europe.
Totally agree with you. And actually, I see that as an opportunity because a lot of people, they think that, there is Western Europe and there is Eastern Europe. And then probably it's more risky to do business in Eastern Europe. So a lot of people think like that. So, but actually, we do business here. The business is better. Labor is cheaper. Corporates, clients are bigger than in some other country. Very good quality of the company we are working with. So actually, we see that an opportunity. I'm very happy that a lot of people think, is different. Western Europe is Eastern Europe.
But
is different.
laws are the same. Justice is the same. Business environment and business know-how is the same. Same type of people, passporting and only one type of same kind of rules. So why would you position this Western versus Eastern?
Well, you just asked a question that I have on my paper here, because the panel is West versus East, but are we close to the time that we are talking just about one European region with no differences in between? Yeah. And you stated earlier that IBAN First does not like borders. Are those borders only in our minds right now?
So yes, I think that the borders are only in our minds, and in my mind, the moment when there's gonna be no more borders, when we're gonna have a European football team. And I think that's basically, it's philosophical, but that's the only difference where we have countries.
So which are still the differences between the regions, and are they easy to overcome?
I think it's easy to overcome. You know, the opportunity 20 years ago, when you were in Belgium or in France, or 25 years ago, it was interesting to benefit from all the European laws, trying to do business in Luxembourg, and then benefiting, of the differences between the countries in order to take advantage of some laws in some countries around the country where you are. I can say that the frontier now is farther, and the opportunity when you are in France is really here now. I mean, it's great to do business here. As you said, the law, everything is the same, but then growth is better, population is younger. I mean, everything is better. And I've been talking with people this morning, people who are telling me, we are not happy with the deficit in Romania, we are not happy with the debt, we're not happy with a lot of things, but believe me, it's 10 times worse in France. So here it's okay to have a 5% deficit and 50% debt to GDP. I mean, in France we have 120% debt, and the deficit is totally out of control. And we pay 70% tax on labor. I mean, we are in a bad situation. You are in a very, very good situation compared to us. So it's a mega opportunity for entrepreneurs to come here. Yeah.
I'm really thankful for this positive note that you're keeping. But still, what are the challenges right now for expanding in Europe? Let's not separate the two regions.
If you really want to go there, so I think the biggest challenge is the perception, the branding, that, perception of, Eastern Europe, it's maybe a riskier, maybe whatever, cheap is basically their most important asset, which is so not true. But this is the perception. So I think getting over this perception that Eastern European companies have to be cheaper, and the product is, because it's cheaper, has to be worse. But that's something that can be easily overcome with a good product, right?
And does an expansion right
so
now...
just to come here. So just take Seedblink, right, as an example. We started from Romania, but half year later, after we started, after the inception, we've had offices in Bulgaria. We acquired the Netherlands company, and we are now, 3 years later, completely, not even Romania plus. It's a complete European entity, and that's if I were an entrepreneur, that's where I would shoot.
Okay, and how about outside Europe? Do you look over to Asia, Americas?
I think that's a matter of business. There are different businesses that can. Philosophically, I would say, the globe is a big thing, and we're getting into the changes from 10 years ago to now. 10 years ago it was, or 20 years ago, it was a big geopolitical, one big happy Earth with one internet, one flying system and everything. Now things have changed, and we're looking at 4 different internets, you know, the Chinese, the Russian, with security issues and firewalls in between. And it's a big geopolitical mess. But, you know, transatlantic, I think it's a still very one unit thing. Coming back, I think that when you start a business and you create your business plan and your vision and your thinking, you have to understand where your core market is and focus on that. And then see whether you want to expand or not, or how do you want to do this. I mean, you do your plan. There was a question in the previous panel, you know, what's your PowerPoint for the next 10 years? And there should be, each company has to have a PowerPoint for next 10 years and the plan. So I would definitely go global as a philosophy, but then each business have different specifics that makes the steps to get global different. So do you go straight different, you raise 100 million, you know, day one and go global, or do you go local, then regional, then global, and so on? So.
Okay, Pierre?
Definitely, I agree with you. And we don't have a plan for 10 years, but we have a plan over five-year plan. And the plan is definitely, so first step is Europe, and which is the easiest to do, but Europe is big, so we still have a lot of new countries to conquer and also position to where we need to be stronger. So this is the first wave of our plan. And then we have Asia and the US, which are 2 different things. And probably in our case, we will have to choose one. We can't probably do both. And it's really for geopolitical reasons, because you know we are a payment institution, and so our business is regulated. We are working with dollar clearers, and then it's difficult to be both of them. So to be in both zones, unfortunately in the future. So we will have probably to choose one of them. But then we have to think that we are lucky to be in Europe, because Europe, it's easy, it's a big continent and it's easy to do business. But if we do either Asia or the US, it's like doing a new business from scratch. It's very interesting when you're an entrepreneur, but it's going to be really more difficult than opening an office in Bucharest, where it's like we do the same plan than we have done in Milano or elsewhere. So opening in the US, for example, would be like setting up a new company, so with big budget and stuff like this. But it's definitely part of our roadmap, and it's something we would like to do in the future. Yeah.
And still, which remains the core market for you? The main market, the core market.
So the core market, it's France historically, and then just after it's Germany, and then Netherlands. And what is interesting also is that we bought a company in the UK last year. And what is interesting is that because of the Brexit, we had to have another license in the UK also. And what is interesting again is in our business, most of our competitors historically were coming from the UK, and they were passporting their license from the UK. Because of the Brexit, they are not able to do so anymore. And I heard somebody also in the panel before, I mean, the UK has struggled a lot with Brexit. And now we see that as an opportunity, because in the past it was like UK companies buying like European companies and to develop into Europe. And now what we do is the opposite. So I'm quite happy to go back in the city of London, because I started to work in the city of London a long time ago. And now it's myself buying company instead of those bankers from the UK who wanted to buy us in the past. So, yeah.
How about CEE-BORN, which is your core market, and where do you look to expand in the next 10 years in your plan?
Yeah, no, absolutely. CEE-BORN is a very interesting company, so it actually takes care completely of everything about equity of the company, and that it starts with the cap table, ESOP, you know, communication with the investors, voting, looking on how the equity is going to look after an investment, waterfall of distribution, and then getting the right investor and getting a secondary market and all these things, everything that is related to equity. And it's a very interesting thing. So we started as European, and we are now fully European. Then the next plan is US, and then the next plan is global. So basically, we're in a business where regulation is only for a little bit of it, and then the rest is completely non-regulated. The same rules applies for equity across the globe, very little lawyerish type of differences, and taxes, obviously. But it's a very global, potentially, business. Much easier to be global than your business. I'm coming from payments myself, so I know exactly what your pains are. But the global opportunity has to be very nicely treated, because it costs a lot to get into a new market. So to go from Europe to the US is not like jumping in a plane and opening an office there, right? There's a lot of money, know-how, and willingness to fight, big boys on their own land, and know how to fight that. And then going to Singapore or wherever on the other side of the world, it's again a completely different animal. So a lot of pieces to the puzzle, a lot of experience needed. Luckily for us, we have 4 very senior founders. That's amazing experience. So we not only believe, but we know we're going to get there in the right time.
Has the tense geopolitical context somehow changed your plans for the future, Pierre-Antoine?
You mean like election of Donald Trump, or
like wars,
yeah.
geopolitical tension?
Yes. I mean, yeah. Globally, what's something I think is that happened during the past 15 years, and not a lot of people talk about it. Is like the rise of the U.S. economy and the U.S. power. I mean, if you look at the GDP of the U.S. compared to the GDP of Europe, it had grown by like 1.7 between 2008 and now compared to European countries, and we really feel it. For example, in terms of funding in our business, So IBAN first, we have some international PE and VC fund at our capital, and now we are in a stage where we need to raise to raise even more money than what we used to do in the past. And the only conversation we can have is with US PE firm. It doesn't exist anymore in Europe. If you are reaching like 500 million plus kind of valuation, there are nobody anymore in Europe. So I'm talking about Eastern Europe or Western Europe. I'm talking about Europe. And I think it's a bit sad to see that, and because yeah, I think so now. I mean, geopolitically, more than ever, the US are like they are ruling the world, and yeah. So we have to be together, Eastern Europe, Europe as a one to fight against the supremacy of the US.
Yeah, and it's not only investment, it's also the exit opportunities. I mean, IPO, kind of, if you are going into $1 billion plus, you've got to go to NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange. There was London Stock Exchange prepared to take over for Europe, but it's not there, it's not Europe anymore. Plus that big European companies are not acquisitive anymore, so some sort of a strategic exit is not available in Europe. So there are, again, a lot of pieces to the puzzle.
What is the short-term scenario for a technology company in an environment with many economic and geopolitical challenges?
So what I think changed recently, what I think, but what we saw, it's more difficult to get funding in general. So for technology company, the name of the game before was just growth. So it was, we had to grow without looking at the bottom line. And now, because it's more difficult to get funding, you also have to look at the bottom line. And for example, us, we are doing something what we call the rule of 40. And so the rule of 40 is not really something very strong in terms of accounting rules, but it's something that a lot of funds are looking at and that helps you to understand the trajectory of a growth company. So rule of 40 means that we are trying, we are adding our EBITDA rate to our growth rate. So for example, if this year we grow by 40% as a company, and our EBITDA is 0, so it means we add 0 to 40, it means that we are on the rule of 40. It means we are fine. It's good. And this is interesting because now we see most of the tech companies that are trying to manage their growth looking at this rule of 40. Instead of the past where people were just looking at growth, with never looking at the negative EBITDA below. So this is the major things that change, I think.
Yeah, I think there are two changes. One is in relation to what you're saying. So investors and money basically are looking more and more to cockroaches as opposed to unicorns. So companies that can actually survive and fight to see another day, as opposed to unicorns that are, imaginary hopes and so on. So that's one big change that I've seen. Another one is that while there's a lot of money in the market for tech companies, the bar to get the investment grew a lot. And what happened is that more and more companies so the companies that are kind of meh companies are not getting investment anymore and are dying. And the companies that are really good companies that are above the new bar are getting actually bigger valuations. They're overvalued because there are less of them, and therefore the money have to be deployed. And being less companies above the bar is higher, less companies here, bigger valuations, everything below the bar that 5 or 10 years ago were getting money, even that they were like meh. They're not getting investment anymore. So it's a more and more very divided investment where the riches get more money, more valuation, and not necessarily bad, but not necessarily good companies are actually gonna die.
And there are then the interest rates that went up really, really fast. How does this affect the market and the funding?
Sorry, come again?
The interest rates of the central banks, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that affects where the money goes. I mean, people, the bigger the interest rates are, the more money are going to go to the banking system. The less they are, the more they're going to go to the stock exchange. And if the lesser they go, the more into venture capital the money is going to go.
Yeah, and interest rate is the reason why valuation have changed, and also the reason why you need to be EBITDA 0 as a growth company now. Because in the past, if you look at any valuation model, if you look at like discount cash flow valuation model, so it means that you try to take the valuation of the company, analyzing its future cash flow. In the model, if you put 0% interest rate, then you can add crazy valuation. So actually the crazy valuation we had, they were linked to like 0% interest rate. Or now if you put like 4% interest rate or 5% interest rate, then valuation is totally different. And so yeah, interest rate is the reason why valuation of tech company have changed a lot.
And how in this environment, which is more conservative from investors' perspective, can these small companies, these cockroaches, make an impression and attract more funding?
Yeah, they need to have something. I mean, it's a sales process. You need to convince an investor to give you money. And that's a secret sauce that each company has to have. If it was a book saying what the secret sauce should be, everybody could have done it. But each of us as entrepreneurs have to figure out what the secret sauce is. Being, great team, huge growth, amazing profits, opportunity, whatever it is. Each of us have to be inventing who we are. And basically that's part of what an entrepreneur means. Solving problems every day, one of the biggest problems is who your company is.
Part of the journey.
It's exactly part of the journey. And I don't know what you think, Rado, but for me, an entrepreneur is a cockroach, actually. So
yeah, exactly.
He's just suffering all day on be resilient. So resist, and at some point it pays off. But unicorn doesn't exist. They are imaginary animals. Cockroaches, they exist, and if you are strong. So me, I think I'm a cockroach, actually, not the company, but myself. So, so I've been resisting for the past 20 years, suffering, and then sometimes it's good, and it's working at the end. So, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
You also mentioned the exit strategies. After the week 2023 for IPO and M&A activity, it is more difficult for VC funds and investors to make this successful exit. What should the strategy be?
Look, I guess the most important strategy is to build a great company. Don't build a company for the exit. Of course, VCs invest for the exit, and entrepreneurs hope to get some money out of the company, obviously, right? You're not doing it for nothing. But I think for me, the most important thing when building a company is to create a great company. Great company is the biggest opportunity. Something is going to happen. You're going to get dividends. You're going to be able to sell parts. There is a secondary market. Look, Seedling has a secondary market. It's a quite big secondary market in Europe. So there are opportunities of being able to monetize a good company. The biggest problem with what you are saying is that the companies that are negative EBITDA, companies that are not that good and only sell dreams, they cannot sell that dream anymore in an exit. They cannot cash in, monetize a dream. You have to monetize a good company, an actual good company.
Antoine, would you like to add something?
No, but I agree about selling the dream. It's it's the dream has lower value now than it used to be. So it's true that before it was possible to say my company is valued, I don't know, 100 million, just because I'm going to do that and that in the future. And so this dream of the future has a lot of value. Now, most of the investors, they don't trust you on that anymore. They say, okay, show me the money first, and then we are going to give you some funding. So it's more difficult to raise money for, young entrepreneurs or very young companies now, based on a PowerPoint that used to be. But at the end, actually, it can be good also, because then they start to be cockroach young. So, and then they can, even if you don't get crazy funding at the beginning, if you are able to show that you have the right mindset, that you are, is what you said also, there are a lot of funding anywhere in the market. So actually, there are still people getting crazy amount of funding, but it's less and less companies. There are people that have the right mindset, that are not only selling the dream, they are selling the dream for sure, but also you understand that below the dream there is something strong that will happen. So, so it's more difficult. If you are a first-time entrepreneur and you are not very strong, it's going to be difficult to raise money.
Isn't this a good thing for the market, because the entrepreneurs are working harder, they are more sober-headed, they would really want to sell their ideas and make them happen?
Entrepreneurs are working hard by design. If you are an entrepreneur, don't work hard, you are going to die really quick. I think that it's like a pendulum. And in 10 years ago world where everybody was getting financed and only for PowerPoints, it was a more innovative and very much towards getting crazy things and thoughts, and every idea was getting financed. So there are a lot of opportunities. Some of them actually, crazy ideas, actually made amazing companies. I think that now it's more about execution and settling and everything. I'm sure that, whenever in the next 5-10 years, the pendulum is going to come back and is going to go back into innovation and crazy things and then come back into execution. So I think it's a good combination, and the good thing is not this or that, but the combination and moving between execution and innovation.
And from your own experience, what have you learned in expanding so far? Which are the main lessons?
In expanding, what is the lesson? I mean, if we can say, if we go back, it's resilience always. It's you have to have the mindset. I mean, it's also a question of DNA. I think expansion, because you could be satisfied as an entrepreneur or somebody building a company at a lot of stage of the company. You could be satisfied to be in one country, and you could be satisfied to be in 2 countries. You could be satisfied, for example, to be in Europe, and then to say, I'm going to stay in Europe, not going to do a new risk in the US or things like this. So it's a question of DNA. I think, for example, for myself, I get bored quickly. If I see things are running or working well, I want to do something new. So it's so expansion, because I need a little bit of difficulties in order to enjoy myself. So expansion is part of the difficulties that could happen. So I need to do that in order to be pleased in IBAN first. So yeah.
No, absolutely. I think that expansion is a science. It's not something that just happens. I mean, you may be lucky to hit a really good spot and it happens, but expansion is not easy. People that did expand in previous companies are really hard to get commodity, and companies that have the plan active to expand, and it's not only one dream of the company having, should actually really find the right people, and not the storytellers of whatever, right? But the right people that know how to do this and actually be able to execute. It's not easy culturally, especially culturally, to be able to expand a company. And if you go from Europe to the US, which we were discussing, that's a big one. That is a big one. That's a big project for a company. It can kill you or make you big.
Now I suggest that we move to a short and fun, rapid Q&A session. I would like you to answer briefly and honestly in 20 seconds, period.
Honestly? Come on.
Maybe like an elevator pitch, but with concrete questions, both of you, of course. And the first question is, what is your definition of an entrepreneur?
I said it, a cockroach. Somebody resilient. I saw on LinkedIn a video of the guy from NVIDIA. I don't remember his name, but he was saying an entrepreneur is somebody who's suffering. And actually, you're an entrepreneur, you take all the problem of your company, the biggest problem, because the smallest problem is like everybody can manage them, but when problems are coming to you, it's because they are complex and nobody is able to find a solution. So you are a problem solver of things that are not very fun to solve. So for me, it's a cockroach suffering, an entrepreneur. So.
Yeah, problem solver. Problem solver is my answer, yeah.
Do you sleep well?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. I think that if you don't sleep well, you don't have the power to solve the problems tomorrow. I think that if you don't sleep well, you are not an entrepreneur, you are actually an employee. And both of them are good. I mean, it's not a good or a bad thing, but an entrepreneur is able to take risks and able to sleep well when he doesn't have the money in the bank for tomorrow.
Do you do a power nap in the middle of the day?
No.
No, okay. Do you sleep well?
Sometimes yes, but last night I didn't sleep well, because I was not in my bed. And but I've got a Whoop. So Whoop, and I'll show it to you. It's something that is helping me to understand how I sleep. So it's monitoring me all day and all night also. And actually now I think if at the stage of the company, if I want the company to do very well, I have to be very serious in the way of looking at what I'm eating, drinking, on how I sleep, on how I exercise as well. So a bit like being sport, high-level sport, and so now I'm very looking at monitoring everything. So I'm monitoring.
What does it show?
It shows that last night I slept 4 hours, so it's bad, and it's telling me it's bad. But it shows it's monitored. And I said even if I slept 4 hours, I'm still okay because I haven't drank yesterday. We had a cocktail, but I avoid any alcohol. But if I had drunk plus poor night, the whoops would tell me. You are in.
But let me ask you something. Do you need whoops to tell you if you feel well or not?
It's actually, but it's bad because sometimes
you feel bad. You feel bad.
Sometimes I feel good, and then I look at the whoops and say, "Wow."
Yeah, I should feel bad.
So that's but this is helping you for a lot of things. For example, just for me, I like to have a small drink sometime, and I still like it, but I really see that it has an impact. For example, on your deep sleep. And so, on deep sleep, it's very important to feel good. So you can sleep 4 hours in the night, but if you're on those 4 hours, if you have 2 hours of deep sleep, then you feel good. But so if I sleep 4 hours and I had some drink, then I will have only 1 hour of deep sleep, and then I will be.
Man, you need a spreadsheet.
So, but it's good. I will show you later. I can do a demonstration of the whoop. I think it's good. Yeah.
When and where did you last go on vacation? Pierre-Antoine.
Where to go in vacation?
When was the last time?
Last
where
time.
Did you go?
I do vacation, but I don't. I think it was Val d'Isère, skiing, and so I like ski. So, but for me, like traveling for the business is almost like a vacation also.
Pleasure.
Pleasure, yeah, it's pleasure. And I think it's the definition of entrepreneur also. Everything we do is for pleasure. Even as a co-coach, again, it's pleasure. So I like to meet new people, to see some clients we can have everywhere that say what they think about the product, to say that if they're happy with our service. And I think for me it's really cool, and I like to do that.
Rado?
Yeah, I fully agree. So I enjoy so much what I'm doing. So every day is vacation, but in the normal type of a sense of your question, I've been in a couple of months ago with my daughter in Vegas, not for what you are thinking, but because it's great climbing, rock climbing spots around Vegas, and it's amazing. It's an amazing nature spot.
What was the biggest risk you took?
That's a very tough question. So I think that every day an entrepreneur is taking risks, and the risk-reward system of an entrepreneur, it's kind of very extreme. And every time you are starting a new product, a new company, whatever, it's a new risk. I wouldn't like to. Okay. Let me just put my hand on one, but they're all.
It could be a personal one, not a business risk.
Yeah, I don't think I'm taking personal risks. I'm very risky in business and very conservative personally. So I'm still married with my high school sweetheart. So we are together for 42 years and married for 36, and I still, I get the goosebumps when we meet for dinner and stuff. So I'm not taking risks there in any way. But for business, there was a moment years ago, I was in security with Rav Antivirus, right? And there was a huge opportunity to get acquired by F-Secure at that time. That's 25 years ago. And we got so close to not having money because we knew that an acquisition is going to come. And then the dot-com bubble burst. and they said, sorry, but we cannot acquire you. And that was a huge bump. So we've got below the, cash flow negative, really, really a big one, a bad one.
Pierre-Antoine, how about the risks you took?
No, but again, like I think I don't like risk. I like to manage risks, so to be in control, perfect control of the risk we take, and to understand perfectly the risk-reward ratio. And so every day we take risk as a company, but by calculating perfectly the risk-reward ratio in order to be never in a situation where we put too much risk on our back and to be always in control. So me too, I'm with my wife, girlfriend since I'm since I'm young. So so I think our job as entrepreneurs is to manage actually properly risk and actually not to take risk for the company and to be in perfect control of that, the risk reward, to understand perfectly risk reward. So yeah.
And what is your biggest achievement in business or in life?
Yeah, but, it's having kids, so yeah, so for sure. But yeah, so yes.
Would you like them to be entrepreneurs one day?
I don't know. Since I want them to be happy, so I don't know if they can be happy by being entrepreneur. Yes, but otherwise, I'm not sure you are always happy being an entrepreneur. So again, so I want them to develop by themselves. So let them choose what they want to do. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I'll also, the kids are the obvious answer to this question for anybody who has a family and kids and so on. Amazing kids, for me, great achievement, which is actually not my achievement, is their achievement, but I'm kind of piggybacking on it. And my biggest wish for them is to do what they want. So do they want to be entrepreneurs? Amazing. Do they want to be bankers or doctors or this or that or whatever? Space workers, I don't know, whatever they want to be. They have to be happy.
What did you want to be when you were a child? What was your dream job?
I had no clue what I want to do until my senior year of college, and that was back in '92, when I figured out that computers are around. And so I was, before that, I was making money out of, helping colleagues to do their homework. But then I realized that with a computer, you invest instead of doing their homework, 2 hours, $10, 2 hours, $10, right? You can spend 5 hours in creating a software and then press a key and then $10, $10. So this exponential growth that computers kind of philosophically could bring me changed me so dramatically that I said, look, I only want to create software and to get into exponential, invest something and then sell something multiple times.
Pierre-Antoine, how about your childhood dream job?
Yeah, I think me, I was a bit too young to be an entrepreneur during the first tech bubble in 2001. So I've been an entrepreneur after, but I've been always inspired by what was happening. And when I was young, internet didn't exist. So, but when it starts, it was very clear that it was a revolution. So it was very clear that I had only one thing in my head. It was to work in this space, because it was like the difference between before internet and after internet is huge. So I don't need to explain that. But so I saw it happening, and I saw that there was an opportunity. And at some point, I was a bit scared and sad to think, wow, it's probably too late, because the tech bubble exploded in 2001, and I was still a student. So I was thinking, wow. But then it continued to grow, and actually, it's still a big, mega opportunity now, still to work in this space. So I wanted to work on in the internet, let's say.
What car do you drive?
I like cars, so I have plenty of cars. So, but
Which is your favorite one?
I mean, it's silly cars, so it's not. And what let's say old Porsche 993 Turbo S. So it's old. I mean, from the 90s. And it's a car that I like, actually. It's a car that went out in 1998, so actually I was dreaming of it, you know, when I was 20, and so I was happy to be able to buy it more recently.
Is there an EV, an electric vehicle, in your park?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rano?
Yeah, no, I'm traveling a lot and I'm hiring cars everywhere, so my willingness for change is coming from the hiring in every other city that I'm going. And that's the risk part. And then back home, I'm driving the same 12 years old Audi A6, so it's nothing fancy there.
Do you like people?
Of course. Of course. I mean, people is us. I mean, how can I not like myself?
Pierre-Antoine?
Yes, a good answer. Yeah, no, for sure. I think if you want to develop a business, you need to, to have people with you. So sometimes when we onboard a new employee, I do a speech and I say that actually I am a salesman because I need to sell the company to our clients, but also to investors, but also to the new people, to the talent that we want to hire. So yeah, you need to like people if you want them with you, because otherwise I would prefer to be alone in a small office just thinking and working on a computer. But we are 400 people today, so I'm very happy to be 400 people, with a lot of different people from different nationalities and a lot of different, so it's what I like, yeah.
Do you have a pet?
Yes, I've got a small dog, yeah.
What kind of small dog?
A shepherd. No, it's not so small, but it's Australian shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so.
How about you?
No, I don't. I used to have 2 huskies, and then some health issues in the family kind of didn't allow me to take care of, both sides. I obviously chose my wife, so didn't actually have pets since.
Do women found companies differently than men?
I've been working with ladies all my life in CEO positions, and I think there is a little bit of a difference in approach where males are a bit more aggressive and females are a little bit more caution and kind of farming. But as quality of entrepreneurs and as CEOs, I see no difference. I really see no difference. And I think we're blessed in this part of the world where, coming from communism, that was really egalitarian. What we have in us is that it doesn't really matter, and there is not such a big difference like in the US, for example, where the difference is much bigger. No, I think there's the differences are very subtle and not really important in the sense of your question.
Pierre-Antoine?
No, I think also there is no difference, and the reason why probably we see less, unfortunately, CEOs or founders in terms of women than men, I think it's a lot related to children, actually, because in your top years, in order to be an entrepreneur, is probably between when you are 25 to 35, is where you can give the maximum, you can work crazy hours, and you have the willing to push a company. And very often, I mean, it's also at this age that women have kids, and then it means that it's a break for their career, it's a break for for the momentum they can get in building a company. So it's more difficult for them to be entrepreneur, because it's really you build something at that age. But after saying that, yeah, I don't see a lot of difference, and actually it's just it's more difficult being a woman. But yeah.
We have 5 more minutes for questions from our platform with the QR code. How companies like IBAN First could lobby in favor of CEE companies in Western markets based on its very good experience with CEE business environment?
Me, I want to keep that secret, so I don't want to lobby. I want to, you know, I'm very happy to do business here and without so many competitors coming from the West. So I'm not going to say in the West, come. It's a good business, and so no, but I'm joking. I am lobbying. We are lobbying internally. I mean, for example, in our company, the people that are making the most noise inside the company are people from Eastern Europe, actually. So, and for example, this event is a big event, and we are never been able to organize such a big event, for example, in France. And so so I mean, internally, everybody knows in the company, for example, that what we do in Eastern Europe is good, that is growing fast, that is bringing good money for the company, that people are able to organize big events, that is dynamic. So just by that, I think at least inside IBAN First, everybody is convinced by this. So, yeah.
You've become an ambassador. How about CEE-Blink?
Again, we treat, and I personally treat Europe as a country, and I believe that there is no need to promote different regions of Europe. I believe that, and we believe in CEE-Blink, that it's one entity.
And Monica is asking, what signs do you look for when deciding to exit the market?
To exit, not to sell the company, but to kind of shut down from a market. I never had a special threshold to exit a market or to actually shut down a company. I've been very fortunate to start as a founder 37 companies, close to your 40 number, out of which 6 were amazingly successful. 10 of them didn't lose really all the money, and all the rest were amazing experiences and learning experiences for us as teams. And I don't really see a threshold for when to plug off a company or to exit a region or so. But I think the spreadsheet tells you pretty soon that it doesn't really make sense.
I think that our time is up. I see that Monica has another question, so I would like to invite her into networking area after the panel to ask this by herself. And there is another really specific for IBAN First question, which I would also invite the person to ask directly Pierre-Antoine. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for this panel. It was a pleasure meeting with you.
Thank you so much. It was very nice. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Radu. How is your whoop level? Doing good? Let's whoop further then. Already the third panel. For the third panel, we are heading across borders. So please, if I can invite our well-esteemed Hungarian friend Martin to moderate the third panel. Martin, please. So Martin is representing portfolio in Hungary. Please. And I think you can invite your speakers. Thank you. Good luck.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Márton Orosz from Portfolio Hungary, and thank you for being here. This is our third time from Portfolio, and we are proud media sponsors of this special event here in Bucharest. So thanks again, and let me invite my guest here at our last panel speech. But as we used to say in Hungary, the best for the last. So let me invite my guest. And they are Gabriela Béres, Managing Director, Central and Eastern Europe at Puratos. Big applause, please. Daniel Nagy, Managing Director, Component Group. Stoyan Valev, CEO, Grain Store. Benjamin Berényi, CEO and co-founder, PassPay. And Bogdan Kolchereu, founder and CEO of Frisbo. Please, guys, have a seat. Okay, so let me start with a kind of small introduction. If you guys would please introduce yourself and your business and how it's doing in these days in April 2024. So what is your business doing?
Hello, thank you for inviting me to this meeting. I am part of Puratos. Puratos is a food company. We are market leader, that's what we want to think, and we are absolutely sure we are in ingredients, food ingredients in bakery, patisserie and chocolate. We are a Belgian-based company with a very strong footprint in Eastern Europe, in Central and Eastern Europe. We are approximately 3 billion euro as a company, and it's still a business family, which is a very important aspect for such a big company. So nice to meet you.
Thank you for being here.
Hi, good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation. I am Daniel Nagy, the second generation leader of Component Group. That means that we are a Hungarian family business. We are operating for 35 years in the Hungarian market, and now for let's say more than 1 year we are expanding internationally in the region. Our activity is distribution of industrial equipment, so we are kind of selling instrumentation, valves and pumps to the heavy industry. I mean, like oil and gas, energy sector, chemical industry, and some food and pharma as well. So basically that we are doing.
Hello everybody. Thanks for the invitation. My name is Stoyan. I come from Bulgaria. We are a relatively new company in one of the oldest businesses, grain trading. It has been existing for more than 2,000 years and it hasn't really changed very much. The fact that we have managed to grow so fast shows that Central and Eastern Europe has huge potential for development. Grain Store was founded in 2013 to utilize old Soviet-built storage facilities, which could be bought very cheaply across the country. We wanted to buy facilities over all Bulgaria and offer complete storage solutions to nationally represented companies. At the time, those were mostly multinationals. This went well, and being around all that grain, we decided to try our hand at trading. Step by step, we managed to grow into one of the leading companies in Bulgaria. And in the last 2 to 3 years, we've been expanding in Greece and Romania. Currently, we have 20 storage facilities housing 400,000 tons in those countries and trade 1 million tons of grains. Just to underline something, old-fashioned business, what does this mean? 1 million tons of grains means we pick up 40,000 trucks from the farmers and deliver them to the consumers. That's 200 trucks every day. Thank you.
Hello, pleasure to be here. So I'm Ben Marini, CEO and co-founder of PassPay. We at PassPay are B2B payments company. Our flagship product is buy now, pay later for business buyers. and we are actually helping merchants turn into digital sales, into web shop marketplace sales, and supporting them in their offline activities as well. So basically, we have turned a very traditional financing and expansion method like factoring into a payment method, which can be used very, very easily by just a few clicks. And with this, we are supporting merchants, well, in their international expansion and in their domestic growth as well. So we can enable these kind of merchants to grow by 10 to 20% in their revenues by just introducing this payment method. And yeah, this is how we are supporting their international expansion as well.
Hello, my name is Bogdan. I'm a co-founder of Freezebo. Freezebo is a logistics company. We do logistics for e-commerce. So that means we stock the goods for online stores and then we ship them for them. We do that in an asset-light model. So that means we do not operate ourselves any fulfillment centers, but we are like an Uber for warehouses, if you will. So that means we integrate local fulfillers into one network, and then we put online shops into that network and enable them to sell anywhere in Europe. We started in Romania a few years back, and now we expanded to the entire CEE region, plus Germany, France, recently Italy, Spain, Benelux, and the UK. So basically, we can say we operate almost everywhere in Europe, and we operate more than 30 warehouses at this point.
Okay, so as you have heard, we are coming from very different companies and very different markets and perspectives. But I think if we can find one common point is that you are all expanding somehow, mainly in the region, but also in Europe or globally. So this is my first question, or my second question: how you choose the target countries where you are expanding? What are the main points of this expanding policy when you are targeting a new country? How is it working? Bogdan, would you please start?
As we heard before in the previous panels, it's quite a risk you take when you go into a new country because you have to spend some time and money there, and usually we are a startup, so for us time and money is like oxygen. So then you want to lower that risk as much as possible. So what we did in order to lower the risk, plus we didn't have the type of financing that Western European startup or US startups would have for expansion. So what we did is basically we used our existing portfolio of clients and tried to expand through them, and basically went with them country by country, then open operations there, and then start selling to clients in that country, and then moved with them to a new geography and then start operations there. So it was kind of a combination of opportunistic and strategic, but it naturally took us towards Western Europe because, of course, when you start in Romania, your first expansion in e-commerce, it's usually Hungary and Bulgaria. And then from there, you usually get to Slovakia, and then you go to Poland, Czech Republic, Austria, and Germany, and so forth. So basically, we got help from our existing clients, from the existing portfolio. We used them as, an anchor for each and every country. And once you have a client in that country, then you have a use case, then you have something to present, you have experience, and then it's easier to do the sales further.
Yeah, I think it's funny because we are actually following quite a similar approach. So basically, follow your customers. So as mentioned, we are facilitating cross-border trade as well. We are supporting customers not just in their domestic sales, but also in their international expansion. And yeah, as European trade is very interconnected, we have basically been fortunate enough to be able to follow, well, the merchants' expansions, their buyers. A lot of their buyers have turned into our end customers. And it's very interesting to see how tightly knit actually the European market is, because between Poland, Hungary, Germany, Italy even, there's so much trade going on a day-to-day basis, and there's a lot of demand to facilitate these transactions. And I can just underline what Pierre-Antoine said just previously. We are fortunate enough to be on our own in this CE market because Western European competitors don't really want to go towards CE. We have the opportunity to service these customers and facilitate this international trade this way. And this provides us a good opportunity with international expansion.
Expanding in the grain sector is a little bit different. It's a very capital-intensive business. To enter a new market, you need a lot of existing cash on hand. It makes it a much slower process. And for us, it was super logical to expand organically from one market to the next. There was no other specific reason that we entered the Romanian and the Greek market other than that we started in Bulgaria. We knew the Romanian market, we knew the Greek market, and it was a relatively simple process moving next to them.
Yeah, also for us is a little bit different. So as we don't have our own product, we need some certain distribution rights to go to the certain country. So it's actually for us like we have to build up both sides, or also the market, the customer side, and also the manufacturer side. And also for that could be another solution is expanding by acquisition. If we are looking for smaller companies in the region dealing with the same brands, what we are dealing in Hungary and now in Slovakia and the Czech Republic. So this could be also a solution for us. And as like a family business and a privately owned company, I think it's very good for us that we don't have any pressure. So in the end of the day, we can go where we want to go, and we don't have to follow any other pressure from outside or for investors or for anywhere.
Yes, we are expanding heavily in the last 10 years. So that's an activity which we started to do with a lot of seriousness in the last 10 years, and it's everywhere. So we are indeed in this moment present in almost all the countries. And today, beyond geography, we look at the complementary type of business. So, and we are involved in a lot of M&A, like many speakers here. And we look especially for how much we can complete our portfolio, our route to market, and everything which we are offering to the customer. In terms of geography, because your question was mainly on geography, last year we extended in a very interesting area, meaning still in Central and Eastern Europe, which is Kosovo and Albania. So there are some countries which are quite far away from us. When you think about Europe, not immediately you think about these two countries. And why there? It's because there is a lot of growth, especially due to tourism in Albania. So it was again a footprint put in a smaller entity, but still with a lot of growth. So we are following complementary type of business, but also to really be present in every country in Central and Eastern Europe.
Okay, but if we reverse the question, if we are talking about our region, Central and Eastern Europe, like countries for sure where we are coming from, Romania, Bulgaria and Hungary, are they a kind of attractive countries to expand a company or to invest? Or if we look forward to the Balkans, to the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland, so more Eastern Europe, is it attractive for expanding your company? For example, I believe anyone in Hungary I know, everyone loves chocolate. That's one special example, but my question is, does it worth to expand in this region? You think that there are so many key factors that can be profitable for you?
You know, I'm active in a very attractive industry, which is a sweet industry. So here, it's very important to understand that we are talking about food, and food is emotion in many ways. And I heard before in one of the panels, we do not want to think about borders, and that's true, so we go beyond the borders, but it's very important to look at the specificities, the particularities of each country. So when you expand, you need to take into consideration those specific tradition, its emotion, its tradition, its nation. So taking into consideration all this, definitely Central and Eastern Europe, it's a very attractive region for all of us in the business. But I also saw quite some polarization. And what do I mean through this? There are some countries where we see in the industry a lot of private funds investing in the ingredients field, or not only in the ingredients, but in food industry, or publicly owned company. And definitely it's mainly in Poland, it's mainly in Romania, but also in Hungary here and there. But why I say polarization, because there are other countries which are a bit left behind in terms of investment, especially South Balkans, unfortunately, in this industry. So there is still a lot of potential to grow because the region is extremely, extremely attractive. Going a bit further, why it's attractive in the food industry, because maybe it's different from one industry to another, is because even if the people are very traditional and they really want to eat, you know, like in Hungary, what is really traditional for Hungarian food, and that's really emotion for everybody. In this region, consumers are still open to try new things. And that's really unique for the region. You don't see so much openness in other countries from the West. Here, people keeping their things which are really at the level of the heart, they're really open for trying new products, new sweets, which can be reinvented for them. So, and then I think it's really, really important for the food industry. So that's why it's attractive.
But for example, just one complimentary question. Are you trying to expand on the Balkan before they are joining to the European market, the European Union market, and there will be such higher concurrency?
We are already there. So in the south, in all the countries which are not part of European Union, because indeed when you are part of European Union, it's a bit more easy. Everything is there. You are together from legislation point of view. We are already there in all the non-EU countries, even in Ukraine. So we are having operations in this moment. And somebody said before, business as usual. And it's business as usual also in Ukraine, which is very, very strange for all of us, which are from really further away. We are already there, and there is a lot of competition in non-EU countries. It doesn't mean that if they are not part of the EU, competition doesn't exist. No, it's really a lot of competition. And the challenge there is that you try to make business according to maybe other rules in terms of legislation, because in food, the European legislation is a bit different than in the non-EU countries. But that's really a lot of challenges, but at the same time, a lot of opportunities to create new business there too. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, sure. Please.
Yeah, so I think Eastern Europe is a very favorable place to invest for our customers. I mean, the big companies in oil and gas, chemical and energy sectors, so they're coming to these countries. And this means good business potential for us as well, as we are serving them, we are selling to them, we are kind of suppliers. And also this could mean other advantage that we have already some customers in Hungary who has another factory in, let's say, in Slovakia. This happened with us. And then we already have the reference in the Hungarian factory. So it's much easier to go there and just say that we can give you the same service and support what we're doing in a Hungarian plant, for example. Yeah, we had also some requests from MOL. It's one of the biggest oil and gas company in our region, that they need same pricing in Hungary and Slovakia. So you can imagine if you are separate distributors companies in the 3 or 2 countries, it's quite difficult to arrange with different legal entities doing that. But now in this case, we can easily provide this solution for a customer. So we see plenty of advantage with our wider existence in the region.
Stoyan, how do you feel about that?
I will give you 2 answers. I was born in Eastern Europe. I live in Eastern Europe. Perhaps working in Ukraine or working in Brazil would lead to much bigger success, but I think we have a duty to develop our business in the places that we are born. So for me, it's not a matter of choice. I will work here. The second answer, my main competitors, big American companies, Cargill, ADM, Glencore is not American. In 10 years, I have managed to take the leading market position from them in a developed business sphere. It's not a new business. There are no disruptors. You're doing what they're doing in a market where they have been operating for 30 years. Could I have done that in the US or Germany or France? Most certainly not. That makes Eastern Europe a great place to work.
Benjamin?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. So basically, you have the opportunity to grow and expand in CE with limited competition, or no competition essentially. But the markets are still rather small. They're still rather fragmented. So yeah, and you see Western European competitors already coming this way. So even though you were thinking you might not have that much competition, or you might have like a few years advantage, the Western European companies do come here at a certain point if the market is attractive enough for you to be in it. Most likely someone else will enter it as well. And I think there is a little bit of a mentality issue in our region. There's a little bit of can't-do attitude, like why or how could I compete with, I don't know, a German or French competitor? Why would I go there if the market is already fragmented? How would I get my access to the market? And this is what we were told, for instance, by our investors as well. And now Germany is actually the most competed for market in our segment, but it's becoming our most profitable and one of the largest markets in this regard. So there might be some certain market specifics that put you off Western Europe, but it's a huge market. Like the German market is 20x the size of the Hungarian market that we started in initially. So even if we get like a smaller market share in that market, we can still do very, very well there. And it's worth every penny and every investment. So this is just maybe my 2 cents to encourage to not just look east, but maybe potentially look also towards the west.
Basically, our industry is e-commerce, more specifically logistics for e-commerce. And in the e-commerce specifically, large players from Western Europe, when they look at the Eastern Europe, Central Eastern Europe, they see a very, very granulated place, a lot of small economies, a lot of small markets with very different rules. Just to give you one simple example, in CE you have a lot of cash on delivery. You pay with cash when they deliver the parcel. That's very strange in Western Europe. You have different currencies. So they look at Eastern Europe and they go like, maybe not this year. So they keep postponing it. So you have this advantage that you don't really get them coming in. But then again, in order to expand yourself in the CE, you still compete against all the local players. So it's still a hard job to do. But that was indeed for us the first step as well. So basically going from Romania to the CE and becoming relevant in the CE before taking a bigger step and saying, okay, how about we go for Western Europe? And then different rules there, different type of competition, different type of challenges and problems to be solved. And there, of course, the financing plays a key role, the funding that you may get, because the budgets are like completely different. The size of the markets are really big. So of course you have larger markets in CE as well, Poland, Czech Republic. So there are, but I would say yes, for a CE company, proving that you can expand in CE would be a normal first step. It would be a logical step. Unless, you don't, but I believe all of us, have either, except you, have either operations on the ground or like physical products and so on. So you need to go country by country, because if you have a SaaS or a software solution, okay, you can go straight to the US. It doesn't matter where you are, or to some other market that is relevant. But in most of our cases, I think we are tied to certain geographies. So we need to go geography by geography. And then you learn in every geography the rules of the game, which are different. Even though I heard this, that Europe is one country, but it sounds nice. But when you really go from country to country, you discover that everything changes. Yeah.
I would like just to complete you because I absolutely like what you said. We talk about Central and Eastern Europe, but actually there are so many countries in this region, so different. Just look at how many religions you have and how much difference in terms of habit of buying, or like you mentioned, the cash versus online payment. It's really, really difficult to comply with all the requests of the market. And I think the biggest mistake which we can do in penetrate or really going towards that market is not to take into consideration each country particularities. And that's why sometimes we are very successful in one country and we have a big failure in another country in the same CE.
And language, for instance, is
language,
extremely,
exactly.
You need to have customer support in localized language. So, you know, us as startups, we do all kinds of hacks. I mean, I have one guy who speaks Romanian, Hungarian, and English, and then I have another person speaking Polish, Czech, Slovak, and English. And, you know, you do hacks like this, because you need to be there, you need to look local. Poland, for instance, took us 3 years to be seen or to be, I don't know, even minded, you know, because it's hard to become Polish, very hard. And you need to work on that. And you need to drink a lot of vodka and go there a lot of times and so on. And you actually only become Polish when you actually have someone who's relevant and Polish in your team there. And that's available for a lot of geographies as well. Yeah, so it's not an easy job.
I think this is important to have companies like IBAN First who can help in cross-border financial activities for companies, even in this special region. Am I right, Johan? Okay, I believe that in our audience there are so many entrepreneurs, and please help them. I want to ask you about your strategy of expanding. What are the first steps you make when you are expanding in a new country? How is it working? What's the easiest part and what's the hardest part? I mean, we have heard several aspects, but what is your experience? How should for example, Romanian, Hungarian, Bulgarian companies expand in this special and not so easy region? What should be the first step? I don't know. Find a partner there, or find the best regulations for you. What are the first practical steps? Could you please help us, Gabriela?
I can share out of what we have done so far and out of my own experience. Of course, you look at the potential of the market, and that's a standard. Everybody is looking at the market or at that country specific when they want to expand there. But for me, and the most important thing and the key success is to find the right partner. So in Puratos, we were always, or 80% of the cases, we are going in joint ventures. So that was really, really important because a few times we went greenfield, so just by ourselves, and I have to tell you that either we had really big failures, that we are struggling even today. So partnership in a country, it's the key success. And of course, the partner needs to come with the knowledge of the market, with how the real market is functioning beyond all the due diligence, which we all do. So we hire the best consultant, we do the great due diligence, and in the end, it doesn't work. So the partner and the knowledge of the business and of the market is key. Of course, you need to have a fit, also cultural fit with the partner. And in our case, he really needed to come with the business knowledge, and Puratos was coming maybe with the tools and with the structure and with everything which maybe the partner didn't have. So you need to find the right synergies in between. And we always work with the exit clause, of course, in case the partner, after really developing the things together, will decide to leave. Another very important thing is in the way that we are doing the joint ventures is that we have even, it depends, sometimes we are 60-40, doesn't matter how you are, the partner is always equal with us in terms of votes. So because that's a lot of trust which you give to the partner. So in the moment you decide on very important things like investment or all the rest. So these are for us the most key things when we go live. What I heard in the last panel or in the first panel, somebody was saying that it's very not easy, but it's very nice and challenging to go and buy companies and make joint venture, but what is going on after this? And that's true. Another key thing that you need to pay attention is on the integration. And I'm sharing with you also the mistakes, not only the successes which we had. We always were in a hurry to integrate the company, and that was really disastrous sometimes because you just come with hundreds of people, rules, procedures on the top of the head of the people who are not really into it, and they are much more entrepreneurial, and that a lot of people are leaving usually the company. So we learned, it's a learning curve, it's a learning journey. And now the learning is that we are not so much in a hurry to integrate. So we let the time and the space for the partner to really develop and make a stand there. And then when the moment will come, we start with the integration. So this is how we expand from our industry. But it was really a lot of learning along the way, and it's not a manual. Yeah, it's really not a manual there.
Dani, when you decided to go to the Slovakian and Czech market, did you find a partner there or go for your own?
Yeah, because of the nature of our business, we have to establish a local entity, a company in all countries. So actually this is kind of one of our value that we are providing to the manufacturer, that we are the local company. So we have to go there and we have to establish a company. And yes, our first experience was in the Czech and Slovakian market, and actually we established the company in Prague. So nice city, we choose that one. And it could sound complicated. You need legal support, you need accounting, you need everything. But in the end, I think we set up the company in 3.5 hours. So we traveled to Prague, and we already have the lunch with some nice Czech beer and finish with the company. Of course, it's needed some preparation a few weeks before, but I would say if you have the preparation and everything done before, in these days, it's not an issue to do it.
Okay, so please, if you want to go to Poland, please prepare for vodka, as I've heard.
Yeah, we are prepared for vodka for sure.
Stoyan, how about you?
Keep in mind that Romania is the second market I'm entering, and only time will tell if I'm successful or not. I find in my limited experience so far that there are two main issues. Because my business is very capital intensive, it is key to have the necessary capital prepared before entering a new market. We have huge turnovers. You're always paying in advance. You're always receiving the money after delivery. So you need to have the liquidity available. And it has to be enough because you're putting it in a new country where you can lose it. And if you don't have this extra capital and this will hurt your position in your home country, for me it will be a very, very, very big problem. I will lose my stronghold in order to reach for a dream. Maybe I will fail. However, if you have the capital ready and you can lose it, then it's not such a huge issue. The second thing is finding the right team. I'm trying to grow organically, so I set up a company in the new country and look for people. Those people have to have local knowledge. They have to know how the local market works, but they also need to have the flexibility for a person from another country to come and tell them what they expect them to do. It's not always easy. Usually they tell us, no, here we're doing it like this. Okay, you're doing it like this, but I have this know-how which I want to use to try to develop my brand in this country. Please be a little bit more flexible and try to do it. And that doesn't always work out. In Greece, for example, I had to change my initial team because of this reason. They were telling me how they accepted all my ideas, but then when I talked to the customers, they were doing whatever they were doing in the previous company where they were working. So this is the second most important thing, find the right people to join the team.
Yeah, sorry, I will give a very management consultant type of answer, but it really depends. So you have to consider a lot of factors like internal and external factors. So I think we heard some very good examples here previously, such as what kind of constraints, even capital constraints, as Stoyan mentioned, you have, and what kind of external opportunities you see in the market, like competition, market size, and so on and so on. From our nature of the business, we are lucky enough to be able to do smaller pilots in the markets. So we don't have to go in full scale and build up local operations, local infrastructure, and do all in on a market. But we can go in very, very small, have a few selected customers, do local pilots, and check if it's working. And if it's truly working, if you receive positive feedback from the market, if we manage to hit through those first bricks, then we put in the capital behind the expansion, then we add additional resources, and then we say, okay, let's go all in, let's hire a local team, let's build up that infrastructure, let's do the translations and everything else that's needed for this kind of scale up in the market. But again, it depends from the type of business that you are in.
For us, you can see which was the most successful experience, because with so many countries, we tried all kinds of strategies to go in. But the most successful was by far finding someone in that market who is already an authority on the subject. It's already respected, already their opinion is heard, is listened to, they are credible, and so on. We did that in Poland, actually. When we entered, we got such a person, and we immediately got really good PR coverage, really good image, discussing partnerships at the highest level we could. Actually, we got very far to discuss with the exact companies we wanted to discuss with. So that happened very fast. On the opposite side, when we went somewhere and we just started hiring people and then building up the team, even though it's a nice team and it's nice people, if they don't bring with them the expertise and the connections and the credibility in the industry, the results, you have to wait for them. And then it's a matter of how much you're willing to wait. But if you're a startup and investors are pushing you a bit to move faster, you cannot really afford to wait too much.
Okay, before we would turn to the audience questions, one more question. If anyone wants to tell me her secret story of I don't know, planning some global expanding, how is your expanding policy in the future? You have a long-term strategies about this. If there's any secret, we want to hear that for sure. Gabriela, after what's happening after you have conquered the Balkans?
So there is no secret, first of all, and I think it's just being consistent with yourself and with your strategy, and no matter what is happening, you just need to, in the end, to adapt. So that's very important, because when we made the strategy, we didn't know that the war in Ukraine will start. We didn't know the pandemic is there, so we had to adapt, but we were consistent with ourselves. So there is no magic thing. Maybe, and of course it's different from one business to another for us, because the business model is very much, it is a global business, but it's very much local oriented because of the food ingredients which we are selling, and we have manufacturing in many entities. So maybe the success is this one, that we really kept the local specific habits of the people. Thinking global, trying to bring the global expertise in every local entity. So that's something which we learned from our owner, yes, and that is still there. And that this is how we are sending further the masses. So indeed, keep global, but act local. And that's very, very important.
Gentlemen, any future secret plans?
Sorry, but no secret from my side as well, but only a lot of work. What we see ahead, enable to have our vision, is to establish Eastern European distribution network, and we would like to be present in all the neighboring countries to Hungary, and do what we are doing right now in Hungary for the last 30 years, and we want to do it in more countries. And as I mentioned, for us, it's not like scaling up very quickly. We are going step by step. So maybe we are acquiring one country per year or something like that, but we will see.
Churchill said success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. This is exactly the truth. Every day you're faced with hundreds of problems. You want to give up. You want to stop what you're doing. You want to become smaller so you don't have to deal with all these new problems. The way to succeed is to keep on going. Put one brick on the wall every single day. For us personally, our strategy has always been organic growth in the next country on the map. So after being successful in Romania, which hopefully will happen fast, we will go to Serbia. In our business, we're not allowed to make losses. We don't have investment companies that are giving us capital. It's all coming from banks. If you show one negative year, the banks are calling you, asking you questions, and reducing your working capital. So it's very important for us to grow slow, to make sure every step is measured and we don't take any unnecessary risk. But it also shows it's possible because we have been profitable in Romania in our first year. And I think this can be done in many businesses if you don't try to grow too fast. Take measured steps.
Yeah, no big secrets from our end either. So I think we were quite transparent from the very early days as well that our ambition is to become a pan-European provider. We already have the coverage to do so and cover most of the European Union. We're working right now on an equity round to actually have the resources to do that because there is some resource scarcity in the CE region. But with those funds, we have absolutely the ambition to become a pan-European provider. Unfortunately, due to the type of business that we are in, it's a regulated activity. We don't have the ability, or it will be very difficult to expand to the US or beyond, even though we see some super exciting inbound leads, like I don't know, coming from IKEA from the US, and it really hurts your heart that you cannot service this particular market and this particular client. But I think we will do quite a good job in scaling up throughout Europe and providing the best service as we can.
I think 3 years back, I was in Athens, and it was an event with VCs, so venture capital, in the room, venture capital people on the stage. So VCs talking to VCs. I was in the room for, I don't know what reason, but it's good I was there. And then you had the top VC here in the panel, and they were saying this, that it's very unlikely that a CE founder will conquer Western Europe. Basically, that the founder coming from an emerging market will conquer a developed market. You would usually expect the opposite. Now, this is true because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if all the VCs hear the same thing and think the same thing, they will always bet on the founder in the developed market. They will not bet on the founder in the emerging market. So it's true by just saying it, right? And that's when I understood that basically, because Antoine said that that entrepreneurs are like cockroaches. If you are a CE entrepreneur and you really manage to conquer the internationally your market, that means you are a cockroach who survived Chernobyl or something. So like you have multiple layers of hard protection.
You have to be a super tough cockroach in the CE.
Really tough cockroach, yeah, really tough cockroach, and with a longer lifespan. Yeah, I understood that back then, and it really confirmed it is the case. So, for instance, in our case, we have, let's say, similar competitors. The most important Europeans in Germany, and then there is one in US. The one we kind of all started at the same time. The one in Germany got 10 times more funding than we did. The one in Germany, I said. And the one in the US got 50 times more funding than we did. Kind of the same concept, kind of the same results at the time of the funding. So kind of the same thing. The only difference was the region, right? So then basically to stay in the market and to prove ourselves in the market, we had to achieve much, much more with much, much less funding, which is also possible in Eastern Europe because, of course, costs are different and so on, but not that different. So you really need to be efficient. You cannot afford to mistake too many times. In the US, you can afford more mistakes, you can spin off, you can change the concept, you can refinance, you can find new solutions easily. So mistakes are harsher punished, I believe, in the CEE than they would be in Western Europe and than they would be in US. And it's simply because of the maturity of the market and the availability of the funding and the risk of the venture capital and all of that. Oh, I'm talking, you know, what's happening in the startup world.
In Western Europe, it wouldn't be even a mistake. It would be an experiment or something
yes,
like that.
Exactly. So yeah, it's not my secret, but it's something that I feel that, you know, this is my understanding, what I understood in the past years, you know, CE compared to other regions as well. And everything is different, valuations, everything. But, you know, you can do it. I guess you can turn, you know, the assumption upside down.
Thanks for the answers, and I believe we have some audience questions, right?
Yes, well, thank you. Some questions. How hard was it to find talented sales managers within the country? Personally, for me, it was easy. They followed me from my previous employer, but maybe you have a different view. Skilled managers, sales managers. Sales.
Actually, we just hired our first sales manager in the Slovakian and Czech Republic yesterday, so we have quite fresh experience with that. We was looking for him for, I would say, for 2 months with some professional company helping. So I would say it was okay, not too long, but of course it's never easy.
Sorry. If I would go back to the example in Poland when we really wanted a top person, it was not a matter of that person convincing us that it's fit for the team. It was more like us convincing that person that, you know, we are a good fit. So it was us going towards the person, you know, doing the vodka thing and all of that in order to convince the person to get on board. Because if they are a key person, then you need to do the convincing. It's not the other way around.
Okay. I think finding a sales manager or sales leader or whatever position, it's in general very tough to find a good sales manager that can drive these kind of proper sales. And doing this in a new market is even more challenging. So I wouldn't underestimate it. Even if you have a top-tier CV, top-tier former references and whatever, it might still be that the particular person is not the right fit for your company, for your product, or whatever. So we have been struggling with that a little bit. We are super tough in the recruiting process, but even this way, we have seen a little bit of churn in this kind of position because, yeah, as mentioned, it's difficult to do at home. It's even more difficult to do it in a new market.
Okay, thank you. What are the peculiarities of these countries you're operating, and what is the differentiation factor for Romania? So I think the question is about how can Romania differentiate themselves versus the other CEE countries? So maybe more for people in Romania.
Well, of course, this depends from, because you might have a product, you might have a service, you might have a platform. So the difference, you know, is not so much in the countries per se. The difference is in what you offer, the product. So it needs to be unique. It needs to be, you know, your selling proposition really needs to be unique. And the thing is, the further away you go from your country where you have the connections and you can do the sales and everything, the larger difference needs to be from your selling proposition compared to the local competitor sale proposition. So you need not just a differentiator, you need like a really strong differentiator. Like, okay, I improve your whatever operations, or I reduce your costs by 10%. Okay, if you're from Romania and sell that to Romania, it works, but the further you go away, that 10% needs to get like to 80% to matter. So.
I can give a bit of a different example. And of course, I'm also subjective. I'm a Romanian citizen, so, and just take it like this. In Buratos, we are testing from time to time some innovations, you know, so innovative products in many countries, not only in Central and Eastern Europe. And I have to tell you that there are two countries which always score high in terms of consumption, openness to test new things. It's Romania and Bulgaria. Yeah, so that's one example.
Okay, thank you.
I trade in commodities, so it's difficult to be very different. However, the main competitors for Romania as an export country are Ukraine and Russia. It will be impossible to compete with them financially or in terms of scale because they're huge. They're the leading global producers, and they are very, very, very low cost. They are the Walmart of commodities. In order for Romania to be successful, they have to be predictable as a trading partner. And one thing which is a big problem for us right now is the introduction of a new law which is charging large companies 1% of their revenue at the end of the year. In a commodities business, the net profit margin is 1%. Gross is 2%, net is 1%. And if you're having to pay a tax of 1%, it makes you irrelevant in the global market. And this kind of things really mess up the image of a country. So these things shouldn't happen if Romania wants to continue developing.
Okay, thank you. If I can move to the last question I have. What was the hardest challenge you have faced? Have you ever felt that you are too small for all the speakers? Now it feels better, not too small anymore. So please.
Okay. Every day. The hardest challenge was probably happened very recently. In our business, the war was extremely profitable. All export countries that had stocks at the beginning of the war made really huge profits on something you had. It wasn't great business. It was just luck. But then after the war kind of died down, the opposite happened. From a really high peak, the prices started falling down really, really, really fast. And you couldn't find the market for your product. So you're kind of looking at the book value of your stock, and it was falling down $1 million a day. It's not a good feeling, and you just have to keep going.
For me, the hardest challenge that I had, it is not so much linked to the business directly, because in business you have everyday challenges and hardships. But what I remember, it was when the war started in Ukraine. The hardest challenge was to coordinate with the colleagues from Ukraine the protection of the colleagues. So it's also part of the business because it's about the people and beyond the figures and the KPIs and the investors, and that those were the most important people for us, and that was really the hardest part that I remember, and I felt really small. I really felt small at that moment. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for sharing.
Well, on our end, we see a huge increase in fraud. So as you probably all know, you have been probably attempted to be scammed a lot of times just the past week. But unfortunately, these scammers are becoming more and more sophisticated. And well, last year there was a big increase in these kind of levels apparently, and even though we have a super strong infrastructure set up to counter these kind of fraud cases, it turned out we had a big one in our portfolio. So last year we have seen €500,000 euros in fraud cases in our portfolio. So there was a time when we were employing 6 detectives and 3 lawyers only for these fraud cases. It was super tough to go after those. Very sophisticated fake contracts, fake IDs. It's crazy what happened in such a short time period. And that was a moment when we were all thinking like, is it even worth going after this type of business with fraudsters becoming as sophisticated as they are? Yeah, luckily we managed to counter these effects, but yeah, that was a kind of a hard time.
Okay, thank you.
When you're a startup and you burn more money than you make, then basically you're dependent on funding, on venture capital money. And you know, as you get closer to the round, you see the money in the bank going down. And you know when it reaches 0, you're out of business. You're simply out of business. And we had 2 rounds that were at weeks distance to that 0. So last time it was in February this year, 2 weeks. So 2 weeks away from total collapse. So that's hard. That's quite hard. And then you get the round, and you feel like you're floating. But then again, in a couple of years, you might get to that point again.
Okay, thank you. I have a final one, but I'll answer that one. I mean, it's for entering the dairy market in the UK. I don't think anybody is doing dairy, but we can get you in touch. So come and see me after the panel. But thank you.
Thank you so much, and I believe that our speaker is going to stay for lunchtime, so you can find them and probably ask them other questions and ask them some business proposals. And let me have a big applause for our panel speakers. Thank you so much.
So I got the final question, actually. Dear Sir, Chef Caro, can you speak for 5 more minutes? Problem kitchen. I'm just closing, guys. So I'm not sure what you thought about it, but it was great, no? Yeah. I actually started there for a couple of hours, so I noted actually 3 things down. First was resist. That's not 3, that's 1. I think that's what the entrepreneurs kind of are doing, and the creativity, human creativity, agility to kind of go through every day and sort out all the problems. The certain thing is when Christy was asking, give me a question for the future, there was a blank of 5 seconds. They actually don't know. And I don't think we know. I mean, we don't know how the world really going to look like 5 years from now or a year from now. By the way, that's good for IBAN first. I mean, we protect you against currency volatility, so come and see us. But apart from that, I think as businessmen, the way we look at it is actually turning around the question. Not what is going to change, but what is not going to change. So if I would talk to my customers, it's very unlikely, I mean, if it's not true, come and see me, that they're going to say, the margin you're taking is not high enough. That payment that comes in the same day, you won't take a week, it's okay. And, oh, you lost my money? You don't know where it is? Don't bother, it will show up one day. So if you come with a business model that is secure payments, instant delivery, instant payment, at a competitive margin, you probably have a good business model, and then the rest you can build on it, AI, whatever, creativity. So I think it's, most of the panels I'm seeing you ask what's happening in the future. Maybe you start back by securing yourself and saying, look, what do you think is not going to change? I will finish with a personal story, because I see some former colleagues from ABN AMRO. In September this year, 9/11, sorry for the date, it will be 15 years that I will be in Romania and in the region. I was just appointed CEO of ABN AMRO Romania, which was the period where ABN AMRO was rebranded in Royal Bank of Scotland. And some bozos somewhere in Edinburgh decided that Romania would be non-core. So you have core markets, you're important. Non-core, you're less important. So a new CEO coming in, non-core, 2,000 people. Best bank in Romania at that time. So what do? And you want to kind of do a town hall meeting like this for everybody. So we're still discussing with another former CPO who invented it, but we said, look, we have a new slogan, that's what's going to be. Non-core is core for me. And that changed the mentality completely. What I mean by that, we are running into every day in problems, trying to find solution, trying to find that human aspect, because we are working with people. Even that 80% of our jobs might be done by artificial intelligence, the human creativity, the human relationship will still be there. But that was also a moment where we did not know what was going to happen. What does non-core mean? You're going to sell? You're going to wind it down? What do you do? I even had a discussion if I should bring my family here or not. And they say, no, it's 6 months, we sell it, no problem. But for the funny story, at that time, my boy was 15 years old in Belgium. Well, he would have been 15 years old also in Romania, but it was the story is actually that he had his first girlfriend, the love of his life. Relationship of 1 month. Dad, I cannot come to Romania. I mean, I might never find a woman like that anymore. Her name was Justine, French. Okay, Pat is not here. And we were actually looking forward to that concept about that he would not find a girl like that anymore in the future. It was one of the reasons we actually considered Romania. But the thing is that 2 weeks later, I asked, how is it with Justine? And he said, oh, Dad, don't worry, it's just out. It's actually a real story. He had a girlfriend. But the point I want to make is here, the creativity about core and non-core. We didn't have a clue neither, but you work your way out. And the last thing I want to mention is that I actually asked, I want to see the top 50 clients in Romania. And then my former sales manager, Raudu, looked at me and said, look, our clients are not only in Bucharest. So I know, I want to know the country. Johan, you don't understand. 15 years ago, we don't have roads. It will take you months. Don't bother. But it was a wonderful time. It was still the time where they put a red carpet when the CEO of a bank was visiting you. They had balloons. I even remember I had to go to a church with a founder before my meeting, because every meeting that is important, I bring the people to the church. He just needed more money. It's nothing special. And then every time it ended this. My Romanian was not good. It's still not good, but that I understand. That's Palinka Svika. So after 50 meetings, I had almost an alcohol problem. Hello, I'm Johan. I'm sober for 43 days. No, I moved out of banking afterwards. But the point I want to make is these relationships, I think they will stand also in the future. But that's why we do this event. People like to talk. Yeah. All best clients are the clients we like most. And on the other side, it's also the clients that like us most and trust us most. Those are the best relationships. And that's why we still have people for years. And whatever artificial intelligence, I think that will still be important. And if I see whatever the panel speakers, the Raudu, Pat talking, it's human, it's people still. It's not going to go away. So on these things, I think the chef will probably have sorted out the kitchen issue. So let's have lunch, but not before thanking all the panels, all the guests here. Thank you very much. Zero Financier, good job again, like every year, so thank you very much. Martin, Portfolio Hungary, Veronica, Bloomberg TV, and our communication partners, I almost forgot P2. So thank you very much, and I hope I'll see you before next year. So have a good one.